Chapter 882. Even Lin Yan was puzzled, let alone Pei Yutong. Lin Yan had never known about the evolution ability of an evolved being. In fact, she hadn't even known that she was an evolved being for some time. Lin Yan could understand if evolved beings had evolved abilities that ordinary people couldn't imagine. However, not dying after falling from this building, even disappearing into thin air, was beyond Lin Yan's imagination. Aren't you an expert in theory? Lin Yan's eyes trailed to Pei Yutong. Don't worry. Let me think. I was a little nervous and forgot, Pei Yutong said hastily. Lin Yan was speechless. What kind of expert was he? I've studied it before. I once entered my grandfather's room. There were many books inside that recorded the knowledge of evolved beings that surpassed the limits of humans. It mentioned that space, quantum, matter, and magnetic fields can all be controlled by evolved beings. However, it requires a very powerful evolved being. However, I don't understand some professional knowledge. I've never heard of invulnerability. Pei Yutong frowned. Lin Yan, who was slightly taken aback, asked, "What does this have to do with being invulnerable?" "Sister Yan, of course it has something to do with it." Pei Yutong looked serious. "I'd like to hear more," replied Lin Yan. "That's easy to understand. If you're fine after falling from such a high place, wouldn't that mean that you're invulnerable?" Pei Yutong replied matter-of-factly. Lin Yan replied, "You are really a logical genius." Pei Yutong grinned. "It's all right. According to your logic, if I don't drown after falling into a river one day, would I be invulnerable?" asked Lin Yan. Pei Yutong nodded. "You can understand it that way." Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan couldn't be bothered with Pei Yutong. She glanced outside the window. Zhang San and Li Si had indeed disappeared without a trace. If space can be controlled by evolved beings, then, what about time? If we can control time, wouldn't we be able to travel through the past and the future? Pei Yutong muttered to himself. In theory, it's possible, but it's not possible. Lin Yan shook her head. Why? Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yan in confusion. Aren't you an expert? Why are you asking me? Lin Yan glanced at him. I've done a lot of research on evolved humans, but I haven't done much research on time. I'm a top student. I'm just a bad student. Pei Yutong sighed heavily. You want to know? Lin Yan grinned. Yes. Pei Yutong nodded vigorously. Increase the investment and I'll tell you, replied Lin Yan. Pei Yutong, who was taken aback, stared at Lin Yan in astonishment. Daddy, are you obsessed with money? Forget it then, replied Lin Yan. Don't. This question has been bothering me for a long time. I really want to know the answer, Pei Yutong said anxiously. Increase the investment, replied Lin Yan. Pei Yutong chased after Lin Yan. All right. I will increase the investment. Daddy, you have the final say. Anyway, given your capabilities, I won't lose out. All right, I'll tell you. Lin Yan grinned. How should we define time? 1 second? 1 minute, or 1 day? Chapter 883. Of course. Every minute and every second counts. It's the passage of time, replied Pei Yutong. What does time look like? Asked Lin Yan. Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yan. Sister Yan, are you kidding me? If I could see what time looks like, would I still need to come to you to invest and earn money? That's why there's no time in the universe. Time is just a name given by humans, replied Lin Yan. Huh? What do you mean? Pei Yutong was puzzled. Time is something that doesn't exist. It's an abstract concept that humans use as a convenient reference. It's a form of intelligence, but time doesn't really exist, explained Lin Yan. Then how do you explain the rising and setting of the sun? Isn't that because of time? asked Pei Yutong. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. I believe you now. You're indeed a slacker. The rising and setting of the sun is a phenomenon of space. Everything is constantly operating, and the rising and setting of the sun is also a manifestation of the operation. Then, Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. Go and read your book. F***ck, do evolved people need to understand science? Pei Yutong was dumbfounded. How would I know? I'm a noob myself. Lin Yan sighed. Evolution was indeed science. It didn't exist out of thin air. It had existed for a long time, perhaps even longer than humans. It was just the result of evolution that might have transcended the inherent thinking of humans. In their inherent thinking, humans couldn't fly in the air like birds. However, the result of human evolution was possible. This was the embodiment of an evolved person's ability. In the sky above the building, Li Si held Zhang San's hand as they hovered in the air. You scared me to death. Zhang San, who is that person? You were so panicked, but your ability didn't work. If it weren't for me, both of us would have fallen to our deaths. Said Li Si. Could that man really be Xiao Yao? Zhang San was deep in thought. Zhang San, you should lose weight. You're too heavy. I can't hold on any longer. You idiot. Hurry up and find a place to land. Keep an eye on this building. I don't believe that she won't come out. If that man isn't around, we'll continue attacking. Zhang San gritted his teeth. Who are you calling an idiot? Say it again. If I don't kill you, I'm your pet. Little brother, you're the smartest, the wisest. Quick, land first. In the office, Lin Yan glanced at Hilifeng, who had been knocked out by her kick. She strode forward and pinched Hilifeng's philtrum. Get up. Hilifeng opened his eyes in a daze and glanced at Lin Yan. Have you eaten? Asked Hilifeng. Eat, my foot. Are you asleep? Lin Yan quipped. Hilifeng came back to his senses after a while. He got up and looked around. How is it? Where is he? It's fine. He has left, explained Lin Yan. Oh my God, sister, this is too scary. Why did they chase us all the way here? Hilifeng panicked. Before Lin Yan could reply, Hilifeng looked puzzled. Oh yeah, why did I suddenly fall asleep? Lin Yan sighed and told Hilifeng everything. F***ck. Hilifeng stared at Lin Yan in disbelief. Sister, are you hurt? Lin Yan studied Hilifeng thoughtfully. Do you think you can hurt me? Chapter 884. I don't think so, replied Hilifeng. By the way, sister, we should close down for a few days. Otherwise, I'm afraid those two lunatics will come again, said Hilifeng. There's no need. I don't think they would dare to come in. Lin Yan grinned. With Boss Xiao Yao here, those two old things wouldn't. Even if they were stupid, they should still have survival instincts. No matter how stupid they were, they wouldn't court death. Pei Yutong and Lin Yan had just left the office when Pei Yuqing sent Lin Yan a message. I'll wait for you downstairs. Lin Yan was taken aback when she read the message. Her eyes then landed on Pei Yutong. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Asked Pei Yutong. Did you tell your brother? Lin Yan frowned. What are you talking about? Pei Yutong was perplexed. Take a look for yourself. Lin Yan passed the phone to him. Pei Yutong was flabbergasted when he read the message. I didn't say anything. I swear I didn't say anything. How could I have the time? It could be a coincidence. Lin Yan nodded. Pei Yutong hadn't had the time to contact Pei Yuqing. Besides, there was no need for him to tell Pei Yuqing about what had happened. It wouldn't do him any good. After leaving the building, Pei Yuqing, who was dressed casually, stood beside the car. He looked a little weak. Brother, why are you here? Pei Yutong hurried over to Pei Yucheng. Can't I come? Pei Yucheng glanced at Pei Yutong. Of course not. Pei Yutong shook his head furiously. Mr. Pei. Lin Yan walked over to him and spoke softly. Other than when she couldn't control her emotions, she still addressed him as Mr. Pei. However, due to her suspicions, she sounded colder than usual when she addressed him as Mr. Pei. I'll pick you up from work. Are you used to working here? Pei Yucheng's tone was as gentle as usual, but he seemed to be deep in thought. Yes, I'm quite used to it. Our motorcade will be ready soon. Lin Yan frowned. She was still worried. You're still sick. You don't have to come and fetch me, it's been a lot. Get in. Pei Yucheng opened the door to the passenger seat. Thank you, big brother. Pei Yutong hurriedly climbed into the passenger seat. Before he could get into the car, Pei Yucheng grabbed him. Drive your own car. Pei Yutong, after he left, Lin Yan sat down beside him. Before he left, he suddenly lifted his head and gazed at the top of the building. The two pairs of eyes collided like two meteors that had deviated from their trajectories. In the office of the building, Xiao Yao stood by the window and stared at Pei Yucheng. The corners of his mouth curled up. A sneer appeared on Pei Yucheng's face. Both of them retracted their gazes at the same time. Pei Yucheng got into the car and drove away. Brother. At the top of the building, Li Si nudged the sleepy Zhang San. What are you doing? I just got married and you woke me up. Are you jealous of me? Are you doing this on purpose? Zhang San flew into a rage. Marry a wife? Li Si looked at Zhang San. Dream on. Yeah, I'm dreaming. I got married in my dream. What do you think? Zhang San replied. Didn't you ask me to monitor that young lady? Didn't you say that she had to tell you when she left the building? She came out and got into a pretty boy's car. Xiao Yao didn't appear. Li Si said anxiously. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang San was slightly taken aback and immediately said, Where? Pointed out to me. Li Si nodded. Look, it's that car. The one that just started. That pretty boy looks rather weak. He can't take a beating. This is a good opportunity. Hee hee. She got in the car, right? Give them a car accident and end it perfectly. Zhang San chuckled. End of this chapter. Chapter 885. Pei Yucheng was chatting with Lin Yan. Mr. Pei, what's wrong? Lin Yan asked curiously when she noticed that Pei Yucheng hadn't spoken. A few seconds later, Pei Yucheng's eyes landed on Lin Yan with a smile. It's nothing. There was a fly that disturbed me. I solved it. Lin Yan was puzzled. Fly? Where had the fly come from? In a tall building, brother, how is it? Did you control that gigolo? Li Si couldn't help but ask when Zhang San didn't move. However, as soon as Li Si's voice fell, Zhang San suddenly moved. Zhang San swung his fist and Li Si was caught off guard. Zhang San's fist landed on his face and one of his front teeth was knocked out. F***CKU. Zhang San, how dare you hit me? How dare you hit your beloved brother? I will fight you. Li Si, who had returned to his senses, started wrestling with Zhang San. After some time, Zhang San and Li Si, who were bruised and swollen, sat down. Zhang San frowned, looking puzzled. Strange, strange. Did my ability fail just now? Or did something else happen? Why do I feel like I was controlled by someone else? That's impossible. It shouldn't be. Zhang San. This is all an excuse. You are deliberately taking revenge. You old fart, how dare you punch me? I will fight you to the death. As soon as Li Si finished speaking, he and Zhang San instantly got into a scuffle again. In the office of the building, B*TCH, return my money. Return my money. Return my money. The macaw on the man's shoulder kept chirping. Brother Xiao Yao. Is it her? Bai smiled as he studied the calm Xiao Yao. It's not important, replied Xiao Yao. Brother Xiao Yao, I heard that your brother, Xiao Ji, has been looking for her. Do you think that if Xiao Ji finds out about this? Bai grinned. Oh. Brother Bai, are you threatening me? Asked Xiao Yao. How would I dare? I just want to remind Brother Xiao Yao not to forget our initial promise. I need an answer. As long as I have that answer, whatever Brother Xiao Yao wants has nothing to do with me, said Bai. Very soon, Xiao Yao looked at Bai with an unfathomable expression. You were the one who ordered those people from the Hunters Guild. Of course. Bai smiled and said, I'm just curious if the two of them are related. If she isn't her, will she appear? She's not her, said Xiao Yao. Brother Xiao Yao, we should be honest with each other. Unfortunately, I won't believe anything you say now. With your status as the third layer of the heaven, it's impossible for you to care so much about an ordinary evolver. You helped him several times and even deliberately got to know him. No matter what, it's impossible for someone as noble as you to do such a thing, said Bai with a smile. So, said Xiao Yao expressionlessly. Therefore, I will dig out all the secrets she hides. If I find out that she is who she is, then no one in this world will be able to protect her. I want her to be consigned to eternal damnation. The smile on Bai's face grew brighter. Is that so? You can try, said Xiao Yao indifferently. What? Could it be that Brother Xiao Yao's heart has been moved? She's just an ordinary woman and shouldn't be important. Or is there something else that you're not willing to tell me? Asked Bai. There's nothing else. It's up to you whether you believe me or not, said Xiao Yao. Oh, all right. I naturally believe you. In that case, I won't disturb you any longer. Goodbye. Bai stood up. I won't see you out, said Xiao Yao. Chapter 886. At Cloud Manor, Lin Yan had just arrived home when the two kittens rushed over to greet her affectionately. They wrapped themselves around her legs and rubbed themselves against her. Rich prosperity restrained itself a little and merely rubbed itself against Lin Yan's legs. 1,000 bags of cash had already slithered up Lin Yan's pants and landed on her shoulder, rubbing against her white fur. Achoo! Lin Yan sneezed and hurriedly scooped the kitten into her arms. All right. Stop rubbing yourself. I'll feed you now. The little orange cat, Prosperous, was quite easy to raise. It ate everything, but 1,000 Pockets was picky. It wanted to eat the best of everything. She had only raised it for a few months, and she had already spent a lot of money on cat food and canned food. She was going to go broke from all the food it ate. You haven't found the owner? Pei Yucheng asked after he parked the car. Lin Yan stroked the ragdoll's head and sighed. No. The owner hasn't come to claim the owner even though the notice has been up for days. The caller must have either faked it or got the wrong person. Meow. Meow, the kitten's mewling made Lin Yan's heart melt. She immediately forgot about her heartache and went to feed the kittens. After feeding the two kittens, Lin Yan had to take care of the other one. Take your medicine. Lin Yan handed the medicine to Pei Yucheng and poured him a glass of warm water. Pei Yucheng ate it obediently. Lin Yan watched Pei Yucheng eat before she turned around. I'm going to cook. Let me help you, Pei Yucheng said as he followed her. Oh, it's okay. You should rest. Lin Yan walked to the kitchen. Pei Yucheng frowned as he watched the girl leave. Although Lin Yan had taken good care of him, he could sense that she wasn't in a good mood. Pei Yutong hadn't called, which meant that Lin Yan hadn't looked for him. So, what exactly happened? Pei Yucheng, are you sure that I'm the person you like? Ever since Lin Yan had asked him that question, her attitude toward him had changed. Lin Yan had even told him to pay more attention to the people around him and not to use the wrong person. Nothing out of the ordinary had happened recently. Pei Yucheng pondered this for a long time, but he couldn't figure it out. Could it be that she was having an abnormal mood because of her period? When Lin Yan reached the kitchen, she realized that the ginger soup was ready. Lin Yan stared blankly at the pot of soup, which was still warm. She couldn't help but feel a tinge of bitterness in her heart. Ever since they had started dating, Pei Yucheng had often cooked for her. He had even cooked ginger soup for her during her period. Although the dark cuisine was earth-shattering, his intentions were genuine. She had been in disbelief at the beginning, but now, she was completely convinced that this man, who was out of her reach, really liked her. Even if you can pretend to like someone for a while, you can't pretend for a long time. A thought that she had ignored for a long time, like a seed buried deep in the ground, gradually broke through the soil and sprouted. Had she really fallen for Pei Yucheng? What about Pei Yucheng? Who was the person he truly loved? She had always felt that she had no choice in this relationship and that she could leave at any time. For a long time, she had been planning how to break up with him. But now, she was starting to feel uncertain. Lin Yan thought about it for a whole night before sending Ling Yu a message to meet her. End of this chapter. Chapter 887. The next day, in a private room in a cafe, Sister Yan, why did you ask me out today? How is brother Yu? Asked Ling Yu. Lin Yan stroked her chin as she stirred the coffee in her hand. His fever has subsided, and he has stopped working. Ling Yu smiled and blinked. I heard from Xing Chen that you're very strict now. Even Xing Mo doesn't dare disturb brother Yu without your permission. Ling Yu seemed to sense that Lin Yan was distracted. Sister Yan, is something bothering you? Lin Yan snapped out of her reverie. She didn't like to be caught in a dilemma, so she said, Ling Yu, actually, I wanted to ask you something. What is it? Sister Yan, ask away. As long as it's something I know, I will tell you everything. Ling Yu immediately spoke confidently when it came to her expertise. Lin Yan deliberated over her words. Ling Yu, let me ask you. Does Pei Yucheng have a close confidant? Ling Yu was taken aback for a moment before she snapped back to her senses. Close. Confidant? Lin Yan nodded. Yeah, is there such a person? Ling Yu didn't understand why Lin Yan would ask this question. What puzzled her even more was that this question didn't seem to exist. Ling Yu replied honestly, Sister Yan, why did you suddenly ask this? Lin Yan pretended to ask casually. What's wrong with this question? Nothing. It's just impossible. Brother Yu doesn't like women at all, let alone women who are close to him. How could he have such a confidant? Ling Yu replied confidently. Lin Yan frowned. Really? Think about it carefully. This woman must have an extraordinary relationship with Pei Yucheng. Not only can she enter Cloud Manor unimpeded, but she also knows the passwords to some of Pei Yucheng's personal equipment. She even knows where the items in his study are. I'm sure that this woman is interested in Pei Yucheng. Is there no one around him who fits the criteria I mentioned? Ling Yu realized that Lin Yan didn't seem to be asking casually. Hence, she mulled it over before replying, Sister Yan, based on what you said, there can only be one person who could do that. Is there really such a person? Lin Yan sat up straight. Ling Yu nodded, yes, but it's not a woman. It's a man. Ah. A man? Lin Yan was shocked. Who? Who? She had assumed that the person who had a crush on Pei Yucheng was a woman, but she hadn't expected that it would be a man as well. Ling Yu said, Ching Mo, Lin Yan replied, Ling Yu shrugged. I think only Brother Yu's senior assistant would be able to do this. To be honest, I don't think even Ching Mo would know the password to Brother Yu's personal equipment or the location of the items in his study. Brother Yu doesn't even have a servant. The butler arranges for someone to clean and deliver daily necessities. Even Pei Yutong and Pei Nanxiu, his two younger brothers, rarely dare to disturb him. Hence, Sister Yan, you should be able to tell that Brother Yu is a very defensive person. He is also very territorial, even when it comes to his family. End of this chapter. Chapter 888. Lin Yan blinked in confusion. Huh? Really? I really didn't notice. I entered his study whenever I wanted. I also placed confidential documents wherever I wanted. He didn't avoid me when he held video meetings with the higher-ups. Ling Yu, who was at a loss for words, muttered, Sister Yan, don't show off your affection for him. Lin Yan was speechless. How could she? She had to get down to business. However, Lin Yan pondered it for a moment and realized that it was true. She rarely saw any servants at Cloud Manor, and the butler was elusive. Most of the time, Pei Yuqing would even do some housework himself. Initially, she had thought that Pei Yuqing was difficult to get close to. However, she had gradually realized that he was a very gentle person. Ling Yu glanced at Lin Yan cautiously. Sister Yan, did someone gossip about you? Or did you read some gossip online? Those are all fake. Don't believe them. Brother Yu doesn't have any women around him. You're his only girlfriend. I can testify to that. Lin Yan gazed intently at Ling Yu. What if I said that I saw everything with my own eyes? When Ling Yu heard this, she was really shocked. What? You saw it with your own eyes? Lin Yan nodded. Besides, that woman can even imitate Pei Yuqing's handwriting perfectly. She must know a lot about Pei Yuqing's company. That day, Pei Yuqing's urgent documents had been handled by the consciousness that had possessed her body. She had seen the entire process with her own eyes. She had even seen the consciousness controlling her body to sign the documents. This couldn't be fake. Hence, she suspected that this woman was a member of Pei Yuqing's company. Ling Yu scratched her head. Sister Yan, it's really impossible. There are a few female executives in the company, but none of them are close to Brother Yu, let alone that close to him. As for the one in Country M. Although the two families are close. Lin Yan sensed something amiss. Who's from Country M? No. No one. Ling Yu waved her hands frantically, looking flustered. Lin Yan pondered for a moment before she asked, Is it Miss Rong? Ling Yu replied disdainfully, Our families are interested in a marriage alliance, but Brother Yu doesn't like her at all. That woman can't even compare to you, Sister Yan. Brother Yu is only interested in her because of her background. He doesn't have a close relationship with her. Lin Yan, who had been suppressing the rage in her heart, began to stir again. She replied unhappily, Anyway, this woman definitely exists. I just don't know who she is. I suspect that she is Pei Yuqing's true love. After all, Pei Yuqing had fallen in love with her because of that consciousness. Strictly speaking, Pei Yuqing had fallen in love with that consciousness, not with her. What? Sister Yan, don't let your imagination run wild. Brother Yu loves you wholeheartedly. He would never fall in love with another woman. Ling Yu was frightened out of her wits. Sister Yan had sounded so certain and detailed, so it had to be true. However, it was strange that there was no news of her at all. It didn't make sense that she had no idea that Brother Yu had such a person by his side. However, she wasn't fully aware of Brother Yu's situation. Thus, Ling Yu couldn't be sure. End of this chapter. Chapter 889. Was there really such a woman? She had witnessed Brother Yu's feelings for Sister Yan with her own eyes, so she refused to believe that Brother Yu would cheat on her. This was no small matter. Furthermore, Brother Yu was at fault. If the two of them broke up because of this, things would get out of hand. No, she had to think of a solution. Although she was nominally working for Lin Yan, she was on the same side as Xing Chen and the others. She hoped that Brother Yu and Sister Yan's relationship would be smooth. She could only let Sister Yan down this time, ahem. Sister Yan, I need to go to the bathroom. Okay. While Lin Yan was chatting with Ling Yu, Xing Chen and Qin Huan had been summoned to Cloud Manor. Pei Yutong and Pei Nanxiu had also been summoned. The four of them stood in the living room as they stared at Pei Yucheng, who was sitting on the couch. Pei Yutong rubbed his nose and assured them. Brother, big sister-in-law really didn't say anything to me. Qin Huan chimed in, she didn't look for me either. Xing Chen replied, she didn't look for me. Pei Nanxiu replied, I didn't hear her say anything special either. Pei Yutong replied, we met yesterday. Big sister-in-law really didn't say anything. She behaved normally. Nothing happened. Pei Yucheng rested his hand on his forehead, his eyes filled with confusion. His lazy voice was laced with impatience. Then why is she angry? The four of them looked at each other in dismay. Pei Yutong mumbled, is big sister-in-law angry? Why? As the four of them were racking their brains, Xing Chen's phone rang. Brother Yu, I have to take this call. Normally, he wouldn't dare answer a call. However, Ling Yu was calling, so he was worried that something urgent had happened. Pei Yucheng waved his hand and ignored him. Xing Chen hurriedly walked to the side to answer the call. Ling Yu, who was on the other end of the line, had no idea what she was talking about. After a long time, Xing Chen's expression was still fine at the beginning. However, as he listened, his expression became uglier and uglier. Finally, his face turned pale. About 5 or 6 minutes later, Xing Chen hung up the phone and walked back with an unnatural expression. Pei Yucheng, who seemed to sense Xing Chen's unusual expression, glanced at him coldly. A thin layer of perspiration formed on Xing Chen's forehead as though he didn't dare to look at Pei Yucheng. After hesitating for some time, he finally said, Brother Yu. Ling Yu called me just now. She told me. The three of them cast suspicious glances at Xing Chen as they observed his expression. They realized that Ling Yu had something to do with Lin Yan. Pei Yutong replied unhappily, is it about Sister Yan? Sister Yan had gone to look for Ling Yu. No wonder she hadn't looked for me. Sister Yan was too much. Am I still her biological child? Why didn't you look for me first? What's going on? Qin Huan asked. Pei Nanxiu glanced at her suspiciously. Big sister-in-law, are you facing some difficulties that you can't talk about? Xing Chen shook his head with a conflicted expression. Then, he nodded and shook his head again. Under everyone's urging gazes, he glanced at Pei Yucheng and stammered, Brother Yu, Ling Yu told me that Miss Lin. She suspects that you're cheating on her. Xing Chen was speechless. Qin Huan was speechless. Pei Yutong was speechless. Pei Nanxiu was speechless. Pei Yucheng was speechless. Thank you for waiting for a long time. I'll update soon. End of this chapter. Chapter 890. The air seemed to freeze as a dead silence ensued. After some time, Qin Huan, Pei Yutong, and Pei Nanxiu exclaimed in unison, What? Big brother and brother Yu are having an affair? Silence ensued once more. Everyone turned to look at Pei Yucheng. The man in question was still in shock. His lips were pursed, and his brows were furrowed. There was a trace of absurdity in his eyes. Pei Yucheng's eyes blazed as he glanced at Xing Chen. Speak clearly. Qin Huan, Pei Yutong, and Pei Nanxiu also turned to look at Xing Chen. Xing Chen swallowed his saliva. Ling Yu told me over the phone that Miss Lin found out that you were very intimate with a woman. Qin Huan, Pei Yutong, and Pei Nanxiu turned to Pei Yucheng in unison. Pei Yucheng frowned. Continue. Xing Chen didn't dare speak, so he forced himself to continue. Miss Lin said that not only can that woman enter Cloud Manor freely, but she also seems to come here often. You even allow her to enter the study as she pleases. That woman even knows the password to your personal equipment, Brother Yu. Qin Huan was shocked. How is that possible? Miss Lin is talking about herself, right? Other than her, who else could be so intimate with Brother Yu? Pei Yutong chimed in immediately, impossible. That's impossible. Even I don't have such privileges. Qin Huan glanced at him. Third young master, isn't it normal that you don't have such privileges? Pei Yutong was speechless. That sounded normal. Pei Nanxiu glanced at them helplessly and asked, Big brother can't possibly have another woman. Besides, they are so close. Why would big sister-in-law say that? Pei Yuqing was naturally puzzled as well. The man racked his brains, but he couldn't figure it out. Xing Chen didn't dare continue. I asked Ling Yu the same question, but Ling Yu told me that Miss Lin said that she saw it with her own eyes. What? She saw it with her own eyes? The moment Xing Chen finished speaking, the three of them shifted their attention to Pei Yuqing, waiting for his answer. Everyone was taken aback when Xing Chen said that Lin Yan had seen it with her own eyes. Even Qin Huan and Pei Nanxiu were taken aback. Pei Yutong blurted out in shock, No. No way. Big brother, you really had an affair. Big brother, I misjudged you. Pei Yuqing glanced at Pei Yutong, who shrank back in fear and shut his mouth immediately. No wonder he had sensed something amiss about Lin Yan, no wonder she asked those strange questions last time. Why would Lin Yan have such a misunderstanding? And she said she saw it with her own eyes? Pei Yuqing suddenly thought of a possibility. Pei Yuqing was deep in thought when a bolt of lightning struck him. A second later, his consciousness went blank and his body collapsed. On the other hand, Lin Yan didn't get any useful information from Ling Yu, so she left. Originally, she wanted to ask Ling Yu about Zhang San and Li Si, but considering that this matter was a bit dangerous, she didn't want to involve Ling Yu, so she gave up. She didn't know who those people were and why they were looking for her. End of chapter. Chapter 891. For some reason, Lin Yan had been feeling uneasy ever since that morning. She couldn't focus. Such a situation rarely happened, but it left a deep impression on Lin Yan. The first time it had happened, she and her younger brother had been captured and taken to a mysterious laboratory. They had experienced life and death and the cruelty of human nature. The second time it happened was on the track of the race of the summit. She was completely defeated in that battle. What's going on? Lin Yan furrowed her eyebrows slightly. Could it be that evolved humans could sense that something ominous was about to happen? That was too ridiculous. Lin Yan felt that this was just a coincidence. Even so, Lin Yan still slowed down. She was the god of racing, after all. She couldn't fail miserably. If she were to get into an accident on this road, her reputation would be ruined. Although Lin Yan didn't believe that anything would happen to her on this road, she couldn't focus, and she felt increasingly uneasy. Huh? Lin Yan's expression changed as she stared ahead in disbelief. A dark shadow was moving toward them like a dark cloud at an extremely fast speed. F***CK. Lin Yan blinked and rubbed her eyes. In a few seconds, Lin Yan was finally certain. She wasn't hallucinating, nor was she seeing things. There was indeed a black cloud pressing down on her. However, this so-called cloud was actually a flock of thousands of crows. Bang! The flock of crows didn't dodge at all as they crashed into Lin Yan's car. In the blink of an eye, the day seemed to have turned into night. The entire car was surrounded by crows, and Lin Yan couldn't control the direction of the car at all. Damn it, Lin Yan stepped on the brakes repeatedly, trying to stop the car. However, Lin Yan's series of actions didn't work. It was as though the car had malfunctioned and wasn't under her control at all. Lin Yan had never imagined that her illustrious reputation would be ruined by a bunch of crows. No wonder she had been feeling uneasy ever since she left the house. She was going to collide with the crows today. Lin Yan couldn't understand. She was already driving the car slowly enough. How on earth did this flock of crows crash into it? Wasn't this King scam? Instinctively, Lin Yan tried to open the car door, but it wouldn't budge. Since she couldn't see anything, her top priority was to stop the car. However, she had lost control of the car and couldn't control it at all. In disbelief, Lin Yan realized that the car hadn't gone out of control. Instead, it had been controlled by the crows. Could the carriage have been carried into the sky by the crows? Lin Yan was dumbfounded. There was no indication that there was anything wrong with the car. Lin Yan pulled the handbrake and the electronic brake at the same time. Even if there had been a malfunction, logically speaking, the car should have slowed to a halt. Besides, she wasn't going very fast. Unless, because of Crow, the tires of the car had deviated from the ground and it was in a situation where it was half touching the ground. That was also why Lin Yan felt that the brakes weren't obvious or even ineffective. The crow has become a spirit? Lin Yan stared at Crow in disbelief. End of chapter. Chapter 892. Lin Yan had never encountered such a situation before. She had never even heard of it. If one were to say that thousands of eagles could capture the carriage, she would accept it. How could a flock of crows lift a car off the ground? If those crows weren't spirits, then what were they? Lin Yan even began to suspect that she was dreaming or that something was wrong with her mind. Just as Lin Yan was deep in thought, she heard a loud bang. At the same time, the car shook violently. Lin Yan instantly determined that the car hadn't hit anything. Instead, the tires had hit the ground, causing the car to shake. A second later, the flock of crows dispersed. Lin Yan finally regained her vision. Lin Yan's car had come to a complete halt. She opened the door and got out of the car. Her eyes were filled with shock. B*TCH. Return my money. Return my money. Shameless. B*TCH. Shameless. Return my money. Return my money. Return my money. Lin Yan's ears were filled with clamorous noises. The man's lips curled into an unfriendly smile as the macaw on his shoulder kept chirping. It's you? Lin Yan frowned as she studied the man. Lin Yan naturally had a deep impression of the man in front of her. Actually, rather than saying that she had an impression of this man, it would be more accurate to say that Lin Yan had an impression of the macaw on his shoulder. Lin Yan had met this man some time ago. I didn't expect this lady to recognize me. Bai stared at Lin Yan and chuckled softly. I don't know you. Lin Yan glanced at the man and pointed at the macaw on his shoulder. I know it. B*TCH. B*TCH. Return my money. Return my money. Lin Yan was speechless. Ha. Is that so? It's honored to be remembered by you, Bai replied. Lin Yan was extremely wary of the man in front of her. For no reason or rhyme, she had been brought here by a flock of crows. Coincidentally, this man was also in a remote place, as though he had been waiting for her on purpose. If she told anyone about today's experience, she was afraid that no one would believe her. Who are you? Lin Yan frowned as she studied the man. The man smiled and didn't answer. Those crows? Lin Yan asked curiously. Unfortunately, I used some tricks to call you here. Please don't take offense, Bai said. It's really you? Lin Yan's expression changed when she heard the man. This man, just what was his background? That large flock of black crows just now was actually just a so-called trick of his? In other words, those crows from before were all controlled by him? Who in this world could control crows? Lin Yan had to believe that evolved beings were right in front of her. She was also an evolved being. However, how could an evolved being be able to control animals? What was the principle behind this? The corners of Bai's mouth curled up as he chuckled softly. You're wondering why I was able to get a flock of crows to bring you and your car here. Indeed, I'm curious as to why you can make those animals listen to you, replied Lin Yan. If he was a beast tamer, Lin Yan could understand that he could command animals to carry out some simple tasks. However, how could he train a large flock of crows and command them to bring her car here? That was too fantastical. End of this chapter. Chapter 893. It seems like you're indeed a low-level postnatal evolved being. Sibai stared at Lin Yan as he spoke calmly. What do you mean? Asked Lin Yan. I don't mean anything. However, I'm afraid it's too early to make a fuss about this. There are too many things you don't know. Sibai grinned. Lin Yan was speechless. She wouldn't argue with the man about this. Lin Yan didn't know much about evolved beings. She didn't even know her evolved ability, let alone others. In terms of evolution, Lin Yan had been passive. She had become an evolved being and been implicated in an inexplicable evolved being incident. Not only was she an evolved being, but her boss and boyfriend were all evolved beings. Why are you looking for me? Actually, there's no need to go through so much trouble. Just give me a call if you need anything. You'll have to trouble those crows by mobilizing so many people. Lin Yan chuckled softly. Before the man could speak, Lin Yan added, I told you last time that you really recognized the wrong person. I'm not the one who owes you money. You should be very familiar with someone who can lend you 10 billion yuan. Otherwise, take a closer look. It really isn't me. Miss, don't be anxious. I'm not looking for you today to return the money. Actually, there's nothing else. I just want to borrow something from you, Sibai said to Lin Yan. Borrow something? Lin Yan was startled when she heard that. As long as it's not a loan, everything can be discussed, Lin Yan replied instinctively. Don't worry. I don't lack money, so I naturally won't borrow money from you. What I want to borrow has nothing to do with money, said Sibai. Stop keeping me in suspense. What do you want to borrow? Asked Lin Yan. I'll borrow your life. The corners of Sibai's mouth curled up. Lin Yan fell silent when she heard the man. She knew that this man wasn't a kind person, but she hadn't expected him to want her life. Judging from your expression, it seems like there's no room for negotiation, said Sibai. I'm very curious. Who are you? We have no enmity. Why do you want my life? Lin Yan frowned. What reason do you have? Asked Sibai. Lin Yan was speechless. Now, there was no reason to kill someone? Actually, there's a discussion. Lin Yan grinned. Oh. This time, it was Sibai who was stunned. Swoosh. Before Sibai could snap back to his senses, Lin Yan's figure flashed and appeared beside him in an instant. A second later, Lin Yan's fist mercilessly slammed into Sibai's face. Boom! There was a loud noise. Sibai was like a kite with a broken string as he was sent flying by Lin Yan's punch. Lin Yan couldn't believe that her attack had succeeded. Was this man an evolved human? Isn't this a little too weak? Just like that, he still wanted to borrow her life? Where did he get the courage from? At that moment, Lin Yan finally regained her confidence. Thinking about it carefully, she was an evolved human after all, and her strength was not weak. What was there to be afraid of? Are you still going to lend it to me? Lin Yan glanced at Sibai, who was lying on the ground, looking like he was on the verge of death. However, Sibai did not reply. Lin Yan frowned. Could she have used too much strength and killed him with one punch? However, even if she had killed him with one punch, Lin Yan wouldn't feel guilty. He had insisted on borrowing her life for no reason, so she had no choice but to risk her life. Who would have thought that this man would be so weak that he wouldn't be able to withstand a punch? End of this chapter. Chapter 894. Heh. Miss, aren't you being too heavy-handed? The man stood up slowly under Lin Yan's astonished gaze, but there was blood at the corner of his mouth. Lin Yan observed him for a moment. This man did look rather miserable, and his face was much paler. The blood at the corner of his mouth was real, so, he was just a paper tiger? Miss, you might have misunderstood. I'm not your match, so I won't be your opponent. Sibai wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. What do you mean? Lin Yen was puzzled. However, as soon as the man finished speaking, a beast-like roar instantly spread throughout a radius of 100 meters. Lin Yen felt a chill run down her spine. A strange python that Lin Yen had never seen before stood up with its tail supporting its body. Its body was dozens of meters long. Lin Yen had seen Animal World before, and this python was several times longer than the longest python in Animal World. Besides, the python's head seemed to be shaped like a crown, and it was extremely intimidating. It looked like a legendary ancient beast. Lin Yen gasped when she saw the python. Run, this was the only thought left in Lin Yan's mind. However, the huge deterrence made Lin Yen unable to move. An incomprehensible fear rose in her heart. This had completely reached the level of physical oppression. Lin Yen couldn't move at all in front of this python. Ever since she had returned to the country, everything that had happened had subverted her understanding. She had been an evolved human, but now, there was a terrifying python that she had never seen before. There was also a human who could control such a beast. Your life belongs to me today. Sibai chuckled softly as he looked at Lin Yen. As Sibai's voice fell, the giant python let out a terrifying roar. In less than a breath's time, it had already reached Lin Yan's side. Compared to this python, Lin Yan's body was as small as an ant. The huge deterrence made Lin Yan feel even more terrified. Her body was completely out of control. At that moment, Lin Yan could even see the python's huge mouth. It was inches away. Lin Yan had never thought that she would become a meal in the stomach of a ferocious beast. Instinctively, Lin Yen closed her eyes as the roar rang in her ears. However, after waiting for a long time, the roar disappeared, and he didn't feel anything unusual. Lin Yen opened her eyes suspiciously. The giant python was still in front of her. The only difference was that there seemed to be some changes in the python's eyes. Lin Yan's eyes met the python's. The python's gaze wasn't as terrifying as before. Instead, it made her feel at ease. Pei Yucheng. Instinctively, Pei Yucheng's face surfaced in her mind. Looking at the python's eyes again, they had completely overlapped with the eyes of the man in her mind. Lin Yen couldn't understand why she had thought that the python was Pei Yucheng. A second later, Lin Yen frowned. Her eyes weren't playing tricks on her. She was certain that the python had actually grinned at her a second ago. Swoosh. Before Lin Yen could snap out of her daze, the python swung its tail. However, this time, he wasn't targeting Lin Yen. His target was Sibai. At this moment, Sibai's pupils constricted slightly as he looked at the python that was attacking him. A look of surprise appeared on his face. End of chapter. Chapter 895. Besides Sibai, even Lin Yen, who was standing nearby, was puzzled. This python had clearly been controlled by that man, but why had it suddenly changed its temper and given up attacking her? Instead, it had targeted Sibai. Lin Yen had never heard of a python taming. Previously, Lin Yen had thought that even an evolved being shouldn't have such an ability. It seemed like that was indeed the case. Rumble. Before Lin Yen could ponder further, a deafening sound came from ahead. Lin Yen looked up and saw that the python had actually broken the tree beside Sibai with a sweep of its tail. Broken pieces of wood filled the sky, and dust flew everywhere. Lin Yen composed herself and took advantage of this moment to run to the car. She opened the door, started the car, and stepped on the accelerator. She disappeared in an instant. Lin Yen couldn't help but sigh. If she had had such speed during the competition abroad, she would have definitely won first place. Indeed, this person's potential was completely forced out. If this hadn't happened today, she wouldn't have known that her driving skills had room for improvement. This was probably the fastest time she had ever started a car in her life. Although she was nervous and scared, Lin Yen, who was in the driver's seat, managed to stay calm as she increased the speed of the car. This time, Lin Yan could guarantee that if the crows came again, they wouldn't be able to catch up to her and her car. This time, Lin Yan didn't take the small road. Instead, she drove on the main road. On the main road, there were more cars, which could at least boost their courage. Lin Yan reckoned that the man wouldn't do anything out of line in front of everyone. Of course, based on the current situation, the mysterious person who had played with the snake and the bird hadn't played well and had been bitten. He should be too busy to look for her now. Lin Yan calmed herself down and drove to the office. At the same time, in Cloud Manor, Pei Yuqing's sudden fainting scared them out of their wits. However, before they could call the doctor, Pei Yuqing woke up. Big brother. Big brother. Are you alright? Don't scare me. Pei Yutong leaned against the sofa with tears in his eyes. Pei Nanxiu looked worried as well. Brother, are you alright? Pei Yuqing raised his hand casually to indicate that he was fine. His eyelashes cast a small shadow, concealing the dark, blood-red glow in his eyes. Everyone assumed that Pei Yuqing had fainted because he had been agitated. Pei Yutong said cautiously, Big brother, don't worry too much. There must be a misunderstanding. You can explain it to big sister-in-law later. I think with sister-in-law's temperament, she's definitely not the kind of person who likes to be jealous. Pei Yuqing's eyes were bloodshot as he scanned them. Don't tell her that I fainted. Xing Chen and Qin Huan didn't dare disobey. Yes, brother you. Pei Nanxiu knew that Pei Yuqing didn't want Lin Yan to worry, so he couldn't help but persuade him. Big brother, your body can't withstand any agitation. You have to stay calm. I think third brother is right. Big sister-in-law isn't an unreasonable person. Don't worry too much. Xing Chen's phone rang again, so he hurried away to answer it. After answering the call, Xing Chen hurried back with an ugly expression. Brother you, Miss Rong is here. She has arrived at the airport. Chapter 896. Qin Huan's face darkened when he heard that. Why did she suddenly come to the country? Pei Yutong paced around anxiously. What else could she do? She's obviously here for my big brother. F***ck, is there a mistake? Why did she come at this time? My brother's affair hasn't been explained yet, and now another one is here. Isn't this adding insult to injury? Affair? Pei Yuqing glanced at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong almost peed his pants when he saw that. He hurriedly corrected himself. No. I mean, big sister-in-law misunderstood that you were having an affair. A misunderstanding, he was doomed. He couldn't let big sister-in-law bump into that woman. Wasn't this the charaba? In the office of the company building, Lin Yan slumped on the office chair, exhausted. She was lost in thought as she thought about what had happened in the past 2 days. Everything that had happened during this period of time was indeed unbelievable. Firstly, the so-called Hunters Guild had kept causing trouble for her. At first, Lin Yan had thought that she had offended the Hunters Guild in the past. However, Lin Yan realized that things weren't that simple. Besides the Hunters Guild, there was also the evolved being who could control animals. He knew that he had mistaken her for someone else, but he had still chosen to attack her. Lin Yan couldn't understand this series of actions. Even if that man really thought that she was the person in his memory, it was only right and proper for him to repay his debts. He wanted to kill someone. If this person died, who would pay him back? Sister, what's wrong? He Lufeng glanced at Lin Yan, looking puzzled. I'm fine, replied Lin Yan. Sister, you haven't been here often these 2 days. A few people came to apply, but their skills were too average. I didn't agree, replied He Lufeng. Lin Yan studied He Lufeng thoughtfully. How mediocre could He Lufeng say that her skills were mediocre? However, it would be extremely difficult for a new team like this to rely on He Lufeng's method to recruit some good racers. Have you settled the paperwork? Lin Yan glanced at Hilifeng. Hilifeng nodded. Sister, it's all done. I'll show you the procedures. Hilifeng retrieved a stack of documents from his drawer and handed it to Lin Yan. Lin Yan sighed as she finished reading the document. She had accomplished one thing. Although she had been banned from competition and it might be troublesome to create a racing team, it wouldn't be a problem if she used Hilifeng's name. Sis, although we have investments now, we don't have good racers. It doesn't make sense to start a team so early. I have an idea. Hilifeng glanced at Lin Yan. Go ahead, replied Lin Yan. Sister, as the saying goes, money makes the world go round. If it really doesn't work, I suggest we increase our funding. I don't believe that there won't be a good racer joining our team. Hilifeng chuckled. Lin Yan replied without hesitation, I don't accept your suggestion. Hilifeng was speechless. Sister, to be honest, our funding is too little. Besides, Aurora is a new team. We don't have money, a name, or resources. Who would be stupid to join us? Hilifeng sighed heavily. He admitted that he was stingy, but compared to his cousin, he paled in comparison. He had never seen anyone as stingy as his cousin. Chapter 897. Xiaofeng, you can't rely on money for everything. This kind of thing can't be brought along in life or death. It's not good to be too stubborn. Joining our team can't be based on money. You have to have a dream. As an outstanding racer, if you only look at money, you won't be outstanding. Lin Yan told Hilifeng solemnly. The corners of Hilifeng's mouth twitched. Sister. If someone else had said that, I would have believed you. Oh no. Sister, are you trying to reduce my salary? Reduce your salary? Lin Yan's eyes lit up. If Hilifeng hadn't mentioned it, she wouldn't have thought of it. Xiaofeng. Lin Yan frowned at Hilifeng. Am I that kind of person? I won't reduce your salary. Oh, I'm relieved. You gave me a fright, replied Hilifeng. However, I'll help you save half of your monthly salary. Look at you. You're a spendthrift. You have to get married and have children in the future. I'll help you save it. You'll feel more at ease, right? Lin Yan grinned. Huh? Hilifeng stared at Lin Yan, dumbfounded. Sister, I'm worried. Hilifeng shook his head repeatedly. His cousin would help him save money? How could she save money? That would be like throwing a meat bun at a dog. You don't believe me? Lin Yan frowned. Hilifeng instinctively shook his head. I don't really believe you. Xiaofeng, we have to have dreams. We started a team to start a business, not for money. It's for our dream. Lin Yan tried to persuade him. Sister, you're my boss. I'm talking to you about salary, but you're talking to me about dreams. You're too. Hilifeng wanted to cry. Too noble. Lin Yan grinned. Hilifeng was speechless. How shameless. All right, let's make this decision. When the team starts operating, I'll let you manage the money. You'll have to deal with money every day. Is that okay? Lin Yan quipped. Dealing with money every day. Isn't that an accountant? Hilifeng was dumbfounded. Don't you like money? Isn't that great? Lin Yan grinned. The corners of Hilifeng's mouth twitched. I feel offended. Lin Yan was speechless. I am a man born for the racing track. Even if I die, I will die on the racing track. How can I become the team's accountant? Born for the track. Instinctively, Lin Yan studied Hilifeng. This brat, why did he have such a big misunderstanding of himself? He was born for the racetrack. Hurry up and let go of the racetrack. It wasn't easy. Before Lin Yan could respond, her phone rang. It was a call from Pei Yutong. Sister Yan, where are you? Pei Yutong asked anxiously. What's wrong? Asked Lin Yan. Oh my God. Sister Yan, why are you still in the office? Let me tell you, something has happened. Something terrible has happened. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. Why don't you change your lines? I'm sick of listening to it. It's true. I'm not lying to you. Something big has happened. I have news that Miss Rong will be here today. Pei Yutong exclaimed. Lin Yan frowned. Miss Rong? Yes, it's Miss Rong, the one from M Nation. Is she here to look for your big brother? Asked Lin Yan. Pei Yutong hastily replied, Daddy, you can't blame Big Brother. This has nothing to do with him. I swear on my second brother's life. Lin Yan was speechless. Does your second brother know about this? Chapter 898. Pei Yutong quipped, Big Brother didn't ask her to come. She came on her own accord. Big Brother didn't know anything about it. Because this time, he came with another important guest, so Big Brother couldn't chase him away. Sister Yan, what's wrong? You seem upset. Pei Yutong felt a chill run down his spine. Lin Yan grinned lazily, but her voice was cold. Why do you think that I'm upset? Huh? You're not. Then why do I feel that? Anyway, I can put myself in your shoes. If I were you, I would pick up a kitchen knife. Pei Yutong quipped. Lin Yan raised an eyebrow and quipped softly, So, you called me to ask me to pick up a kitchen knife? No. Of course not. What I meant was that Miss Rong is here. Daddy, why don't you not come back? Out of sight, out of mind, Pei Yutong suggested. Of course, it would be best if they didn't meet. Lin Yan narrowed her eyes. Miss Rong is there. Can't I go back? Pei Yutong's voice froze. *T. He seemed to be really mad this time, Daddy. I didn't say that. No. I didn't mean it that way. Forget it, just pretend that I didn't say anything. Pei Yutong was so frightened that he stammered incoherently. Then, he cautiously tried to prove his loyalty. Daddy, look at how I tipped you off about such an important matter. I'm definitely your biological son. Pei Yutong had felt a sense of crisis when he had heard Xing Chen say that Lin Yan had gone to discuss something with Ling Yu. Hence, he had tried to think of a way to win the favor of Ling Yu. Daddy, don't worry. No matter what, I will always be on your side. Just you wait. I will rush back to support you. Lin Yan was speechless when she heard Pei Yutong's loyalty. This naughty child was indeed filial, but it was a pity that his brain was not that good. Lin Yan received a text from Pei Yuqing shortly after she hung up. Pei Yuqing typed, "What time do you get off work? Come home for dinner today." Lin Yan was about to reply when Pei Yuqing sent her another text. Pei Yuqing typed, "I'll cook." Lin Yan was speechless. At the thought of Pei Yuqing's dark cuisine, Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat. Lin Yan replied instantly, "I heard that Miss Rong is coming over today." At this moment, in cloud manner, Pei Yuqing read Lin Yan's message in the study. When he read the first half, his eyes glinted coldly. However, when he read the second half, he was startled and his eyes softened. Pei Yuqing's eyes lingered on the words "our family" for a long time. Seconds later, Lin Yan received a message. Pei Yuqing replied, "Okay. However, it has nothing to do with me." Lin Yan replied, "I don't care. She came over and you cooked for her. Did you cook for me or her?" A moment later, Pei Yuqing replied once more. Pei Yuqing replied, "Here." Lin Yan replied, "Only I can eat your food. No one else can. You can't cook today." Pei Yuqing replied, "All right, I won't cook." Lin Yan replied, "All right then. I'll go home for dinner." Pei Yuqing replied, "Yeah, I'll be waiting for you." Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief when Pei Yuqing said that he wouldn't be cooking. Then, her eyes turned cold. Even if it was a dark cuisine, she couldn't let other women eat it. Chapter 899. After driving back to Cloud Manor, Lin Yan returned to her room to stroke the two kittens before heading to Pei Yuqing's study. "Please come in." Lin Yan opened the door after receiving Pei Yuqing's response. Pei Yuqing was reading a stack of documents on his desk. When Lin Yan entered the room, Pei Yuqing placed the documents aside. "You're back." Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl with a gentle smile on his face. "Yeah." Lin Yan nodded and walked over to Pei Yuqing. Her eyes landed on the documents on his desk. Pei Yuqing coughed softly and put the documents away. He then explained, "These are trivial matters. It's not troublesome." Lin Yan scanned the documents casually and her expression changed slightly. She seemed to have seen the words evolutionary experiment in the stack of documents. At that moment, the memory of her and her brother in the mysterious laboratory surfaced in Lin Yan's mind again. However, why would there be information about the laboratory in Pei Yuqing's office documents? "Is something on your mind?" Pei Yuqing asked softly when he noticed something amiss with Lin Yan. Lin Yan snapped back to her senses and glanced at Pei Yuqing. She shook her head and replied, "Nothing." "Are you interested in this information?" Pei Yuqing stared at Lin Yan thoughtfully. "I just want to know more about the evolutionary experiment," Lin Yan replied instinctively. Pei Yuqing grinned. "It's just some trivial matters of the Pei family. Take a look if you're interested." Pei Yuqing handed the documents to Lin Yan without hesitation. Lin Yan scanned the documents and saw a lot of information about evolved beings. The Pei family was also researching evolutionary experiments. The Pei family is a large evolved being family, Pei Yuqing explained softly when he saw Lin Yan's confused expression. A large evolved being family? Lin Yan was startled. Although she had guessed it before, it was just a guess. She hadn't expected it to be true. "Yeah." Pei Yuqing replied softly, "There are many evolved beings like the Pei family. Other than China, many countries are like them." Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan realized that she had lived all these years in vain. She was an evolved person. Although she was acquired, her level was not that high. Although the people of the Hunters Guild called her a low-level acquired evolved person, she was at least an evolved person. However, she knew nothing about evolved people. Pei Yuqing added, "Evolved beings are divided into born evolved beings and postnatal evolved beings." Lin Yan replied, "From the looks of it, a congenital evolved being is superior to a postnatal evolved being?" Pei Yuqing nodded. "That's right. Not only is it difficult for evolved beings to evolve, but even if they succeed, most of them will be at a low level. It's extremely difficult for them to evolve further. However, evolved beings are different. Most of them are born with strong abilities, so it's easier for them to evolve." Lin Yan stroked her chin thoughtfully. "I understand. It's just like vampires. Natural vampires are more noble and powerful than humans who were bitten and turned into vampires, right?" Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. "Not bad. You can understand it that way." Pei Yuqing paused for a moment before he said, "There are too few powerful evolved beings at birth. That's why there are artificial evolution experiments. Many evolved beings like the Pei family would secretly conduct experiments and modifications on ordinary descendants in order to have more evolved beings in the family. They would then make them postnatal evolved beings." End of this chapter. Chapter 900. Lin Yan's face turned pale as she recalled what had happened in the laboratory. "That's too cruel." Pei Yuqing narrowed his eyes. "Yes, the experiment of transforming ordinary people into evolved beings is rather cruel and painful. It's also very dangerous and inhumane. An organization like the Hunters Guild maintains the order of evolved beings, punishes illegal experiments, and arrests postnatal evolved beings." Lin Yan was enlightened. No wonder the people from the Hunters Guild keep looking for trouble with me. Is it because I'm an illegal postnatal evolved being? Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl. Generally speaking, the Hunters Guild won't arrest postnatal evolved beings who haven't committed any crimes. I'm afraid there's a deeper reason for what happened to you, so you have to be careful. Oh. I got it. Lin Yan nodded obediently. There was indeed something fishy about her. Those people had looked for trouble with her not only because she was an evolved being, but also because she looked like someone. It was rare for Lin Yan to have a channel to understand this, so she couldn't help but probe further. How are the levels and abilities of evolved beings differentiated? In the beginning, there was no distinction between evolved beings. However, now, after generations of wisdom and experience, the general level of evolved beings has been distinguished. Lin Yan had a rough idea after Pei Yuqing's explanation. Pei Yuqing's explanation of the evolved beings' hierarchy was very simple. She could roughly understand that there were 9 levels. SSS, SS, S, A, B, C, D, E, F. The probability of an ordinary person becoming an evolver was extremely low. Even if it was an F class, it would still be extremely difficult. Class E and D were considered very high levels. Other than the higher-ups of the Hunters Guild, there hadn't been an evolved being above Class B in the capital city for a decade. Of course, the so-called hierarchy had nothing to do with the strength of an evolved being. It was only related to the evolution switch in the brain. Class F evolved beings had extremely weak control over their evolved abilities. A Class E evolved being's ability to evolve was several times that of a Class F evolved being. Even if there was a difference of 1 level, the difference in abilities was like heaven and earth. Other than the hierarchy, one also had to look at one's evolved ability. If one's evolved ability was weak, one might not be a match for a low-level evolved being, no matter how high one's level was. This reminded Lin Yan of the man who could control animals. Lin Yan had fought him before, so she knew that the man was indeed very weak. Without the help of the beast, Lin Yan believed that she could kill him with a few punches. Moreover, the evolution abilities of evolvers were also mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. It was extremely complicated. Of course, Pei Yuqing had only briefly explained some evolved human knowledge. As for the more profound knowledge, he couldn't explain it clearly with words. Mr. Pei, are evolved beings related to science? Lin Yan glanced at him curiously. According to Lin Yan's analysis, it should be related. The evolution of the brain was theoretically possible, but the evolution ability surprised Lin Yan. Just like how that man could control animals. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly and glanced at Lin Yan. What is science? If science can explain it, it is science. However, if science can't explain it, does it mean that science hasn't discovered the truth or that the truth doesn't conform to science? Science shouldn't exist. Lin Yan fell into deep thought when she heard him. End of chapter. Chapter 901. Evolution can indeed be explained by science. A portion of an evolved being's abilities can be explained as well. However, many abilities can't be explained from a scientific point of view. However, there are traces of them, replied Pei Yuqing. All right then. Lin Yan sighed. The world was really full of wonders. She couldn't use common sense to look at evolved beings. Pei Yuqing glanced at Lin Yan and explained, an evolved being's abilities can be roughly divided into 2 types, the evolution of mental strength and the evolution of the body. The evolution of the body is mainly to greatly improve the quality of the body, while the evolution of mental strength is to evolve the brain. Pei Yuqing chuckled when he saw the confusion on Lin Yan's face. Do you think it's very complicated? Lin Yan pondered it for a moment before she replied, it's quite complicated, but can you understand it this way? It's like a game character. An evolved being with mental strength is a sorcerer, while an evolved being with a physical body is an assassin. Pei Yuqing was taken aback when he heard Lin Yan. After some thought, Pei Yuqing replied, I've never played a game before, but I should be able to understand it this way. I understand now. Lin Yen was enlightened. That was why the man who could control animals had evolved his brain and evolved his mental strength. That was why he couldn't take a beating. She was an evolved being with a physical body, just like an assassin. If she fought a sorcerer in close combat, it would be like a father beating his son. What would happen if one's mental strength evolved or their body evolved to the limit? Lin Yen was curious. It's very difficult. Pei Yuqing shook his head. The stronger the ability and the higher the level of evolution, the greater the risk one faces. Their body might not be able to withstand the pressure, and they might have a mental breakdown. If it's serious, they might die. If they're lucky, their evolution and abilities will regress. Lin Yen hadn't expected a high-level evolved being to face such a risk. What if they get through this hurdle? Asked Lin Yen. It's almost impossible. I've never heard of it before, replied Pei Yuqing. I mean if, hypothetically, replied Lin Yen. I don't know either. Pei Yuqing pondered this for a moment before shaking his head. Lin Yen was speechless. Like I said before, you can listen to the world and control yourself completely. You're no different from a god. However, I don't know exactly what it is like, Pei Yuqing added. Lin Yen could understand this. After all, this was all theoretical. It seemed like no evolved being had reached that stage. Hence, no one dared to guarantee anything. Oh right. Lin Yen studied him curiously. Are you a mental or physical evolved being? What level are you at? Lin Yen had always been very curious about Pei Yuqing. Based on her previous understanding of him, she felt that he should be an evolved being with a high level. I want to know. Pei Yuqing grinned. Yes. Lin Yen nodded hastily. In the past, she wouldn't have asked too much about Pei Yuqing. However, she couldn't help but want to know more now. Perhaps, I'm about the same as you. Pei Yuqing grinned. Lin Yen was speechless. Even if he didn't want to tell her, there was no need to be so perfunctory. He was about the same as her. At most, she was an assassin who had just left the beginner's village. Perhaps, she hadn't even left the beginner's village. Lin Yen really didn't believe that Pei Yuqing was about the same as her. Chapter 902. Lin Yen had a rough understanding of the levels and classifications of evolved beings. However, it was just a general idea. Lin Yen didn't have a specific concept of the ABCDFS that Pei Yuqing had mentioned. For example, how strong was an S and a class? What was the concept of a C or F class? Lin Yen believed that her fists were heavy, so logically speaking, she should be very strong. What level was she at? No matter what, Lin Yen felt that Pei Yuqing's ability and level had to be much higher than hers. Mr. Pei, could you be a Class SSS evolved being? Lin Yan's eyes widened as she stared at Pei Yuqing curiously. SSS. Pei Yuqing's eyes turned gentle as he glanced at Lin Yen with a smile. Class SSS is just a legend. In this world, no one can confirm if evolved beings above Class S exist. Huh? Lin Yen was startled by Pei Yuqing's words. Did Pei Yuqing mean that there might not be any evolved beings above Class S in this world? Was he telling the truth or was he just trying to brush her off? Since there was a concept of class, why had it never appeared? Mr. Pei, human evolution has existed since ancient times. Up until now, there hasn't been an evolved being above Class S. Aren't those connate evolved beings very powerful? Why can't they achieve it? Lin Yen voiced her doubts. Pei Yuqing nodded and chuckled. I don't know if there has been a Class S or above since ancient times, but there are all sorts of strange things in this world. Perhaps there has been, but people don't know about it. Of course, as I said earlier, as the level of evolution increases, the risks that evolved beings face will multiply. Perhaps there really are extraordinary geniuses, but most of them can't withstand the pressure of evolution. It's common for their abilities to degenerate or die tragically, Pei Yuqing explained. Lin Yan was speechless. After hearing Pei Yucheng's words, Lin Yan suddenly felt that she didn't want to be an evolved being anymore. That was too tragic. If I had such a day, what would I do? Lin Yan sighed. Pei Yucheng grinned. Girls nowadays are afraid of growing muscles after going to the gym for a few days. Lin Yan stared at him intently. Who are you looking down on? I'm very strong too. I was being humble earlier. I think I'm at least a class A now. At the very least, I'm a class B evolved being. Do you believe me? I will, Pei Yucheng answered after some thought. Lin Yan was speechless. Will it? It will? What was the meaning of this? What level do you think I am now? Lin Yan stared at Pei Yucheng. Do you want to hear the truth or a lie? Pei Yucheng grinned. Tell me a lie first. Lin Yan pondered for a moment before she replied. Then you should be SSS, replied Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan replied, that's indeed a lie. If I were SSS, wouldn't I be all-powerful? All the evolved beings would have to cozy up to me and call me boss. Almost, Pei Yucheng replied. Will you cozy up to me? Lin Yan snorted. Yes. Pei Yucheng chuckled softly. Then, I'll kick down all the evolved beings who are clinging to you. Lin Yan was speechless. All right, I've heard the lie. I want to hear the truth, replied Lin Yan. If you're telling the truth, you should be a class F. Pei Yucheng looked serious. End of this chapter. Chapter 903. F. Class. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. That was why she was an evolved being of the lowest level. She was a lowly class F evolved being. Couldn't he give her some dignity and tell the truth? Men were indeed all big pig trotters. However, on second thought, so what if she was a class F? The previous few waves of people sent by the Hunters Guild to capture her had been beaten to a pulp by her. They had knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Even the mysterious man who could control beasts had been sent flying by her punch. Even if she was a class F, she would definitely be a class F evolved being with great potential. Perhaps she would skip a grade one day and jump straight to class A. Lin Yan was about to say something when Xing Chen's voice rang out. Brother you. Come in, replied Pei Yucheng. A second later, Xing Chen pushed the door open and walked in. Lin Yan instinctively sized Xing Chen up as though she was deep in thought. Xing Chen and the others who accompanied Pei Yucheng were probably evolved beings. However, Lin Yan was very curious about their evolution levels and abilities. Lin Yan had never seen the evolved abilities of Xing Chen and the others. Would it be as interesting as magic? Unfortunately, she was a physical evolved being, not a spiritual evolved being. She didn't have any special and magical abilities. Lin Yan was envious of the man who could control beasts. If she had that ability, she wouldn't need to pet cats in the future. She could pet lions, tigers, bears, elephants, and killer whales every day. That feeling would definitely be better than petting cats and dogs. Lin Yan couldn't help but sigh. Such a powerful evolved being was actually possessed by that kind of person. This world was really unfair. She was a delicate girl. How could she become a physical evolved being? Her fists were so hard that she could kill a person with one punch. How crude and cruel. Lin Yan blushed at the thought of this. All right, she wasn't that delicate. Speak. Pei Yucheng spoke when he saw Xing Chen standing there silently. Xing Chen instinctively glanced at Lin Yan. She's here. Who's here? Lin Yan asked curiously. Sister is here, Xing Chen replied softly. What are you talking about? Lin Yan was confused. Miss, is here to look for brother you. Xing Chen lowered his head. Lin Yan stared blankly at Xing Chen before turning to Pei Yucheng. Miss? Pei Yucheng's eyes trailed to Xing Chen as he said expressionlessly, speak normally. It's that. Brother Yu, Miss Rong is here. Xing Chen gritted his teeth helplessly. He hadn't said anything earlier because he was afraid that Lin Yan would misunderstand. Xing Chen had already hinted to Pei Yuqing several times, but Pei Yuqing's attention had been entirely focused on Lin Yan. As a man, wasn't his hint obvious enough? Shouldn't he understand instantly? Pei Yuqing studied Xing Chen thoughtfully when he heard her say Miss Rong. Xing Chen felt a chill run down his spine. It wasn't his fault at all. He hesitated for a long time and did not say it out loud. He had already done his best. Miss Rong. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing thoughtfully. Mr. Pei, your guest is here. Why aren't you greeting him? Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing. End of this chapter. Chapter 904. Xing Chen broke out in cold sweat when he saw Lin Yan's expression. Big sister, please don't, Miss Lin, please don't be angry. This is what happened. Xing Chen hurriedly explained to Lin Yan. Angry? Lin Yan glanced at Xing Chen. Who said that I'm angry? How can you tell that I'm angry? Do I look angry? Xing Chen was speechless. The word like was removed, and the only thing missing was the words, I'm very unhappy, written on his forehead. Let's go and meet the guest, Pei Yuqing told Lin Yan gently. Lin Yan shook her head. I'm not going. I don't want to disturb your conversation. Miss Lin, you've misunderstood. Although Miss Rong likes Brother Yu, before Xing Chen could finish his sentence, Pei Yuqing shot him a cold glare. Indeed, Lin Yan's expression changed when she heard the latter half of Xing Chen's sentence. Oh. How much do you like him? Lin Yan grinned. Xing Chen was speechless. He was there to deliver a message, not to go to the execution ground. If he really couldn't do it, he should just give him a quick death. You haven't told me how much you like him. Lin Yan pressed on when Xing Chen remained silent. Xing Chen looked awkward as he glanced at Pei Yuqing. Miss Lin is asking you a question. Why are you looking at me? Pei Yuqing replied calmly. Then what should I say? Xing Chen turned to Pei Yuqing cautiously with a bitter expression on his face. Tell me the truth, replied Pei Yuqing. Xing Chen was speechless. If he had known that this would happen, he would have asked Qin Huan to deliver the message. Why did he have to deliver the message? Since Pei Yuqing wanted him to tell the truth, Xing Chen had no choice but to reply helplessly. Miss Rong is very infatuated with Brother Yu. Lin Yan grinned at Pei Yuqing. Suddenly, a thought flashed across her mind. Infatuated with Pei Yuqing? Could that pervert be Miss Rong? Let's go eat together. Let's see how infatuated that lady is with me. Pei Yuqing grinned and held Lin Yan's hand. Lin Yan was speechless. He hadn't even said anything, yet he wanted to leave. He even wanted to show her how infatuated Miss Rong was with him. Shameful. If you find her an eyesore, Pei Yuqing told Xing Chen, make her leave. Brother Yu, that's the eldest daughter of the Tang family. Xing Chen was startled. Was he going to drive Tang Rong away just like that? He didn't look like he was joking, so Xing Chen nodded and did as he was told. Wait. Suddenly, Lin Yan said, you're a guest, so you have to show some respect. It wouldn't be nice to chase you away. I was just joking. Go ahead and eat. If this is your decision, sure, replied Pei Yuqing. However, you have to show respect to the guests. Why? Lin Yan was puzzled. Because you're the owner of this place. Pei Yuqing grinned at Lin Yan. Lin Yan was speechless. She pondered this for some time before she raised her head. I can go, but I'm not doing it out of respect or to keep an eye on you. I'm hungry. Mistress is hungry, Pei Yuqing replied. Xing Chen stared at Pei Yuqing in astonishment. Was this the Brother Yu he knew? Indeed, spring nights were short, and the sun had to rise high. From then on, the king wouldn't attend morning court. Lin Yan whispered to Pei Yucheng, "Go ahead then. I have something to ask Xing Chen. I'll be there in a while." End of this chapter. Chapter 905. When she saw that Xing Chen was about to leave, she pulled him back. "Don't go." Lin Yan glared at Xing Chen. "Miss Lin, this has nothing to do with me. Brother Yu and Miss Tang Rong really have nothing to do with each other." "Miss Tang Rong. I'm just a messenger. You don't have to go that far, right?" Xing Chen frowned. What had he done wrong? If he really couldn't do it, she would give him a quick death. "I wasn't talking about that," replied Lin Yan. Then, Xing Chen was puzzled. "What's your level?" Lin Yan inched closer to Xing Chen curiously. "Level." Xing Chen fell into deep thought. He whipped out his phone and opened a game. "Stubborn bronze, bronze?" Lin Yan sneered coldly. "Scumbag, I'll carry you." "I'm the king," Lin Yan, who was taken aback, frowned. "Who asked you about the game?" "I'm asking you what level you are." "Miss Lin, I'm really stubborn. I'm bad at playing. I can't go up." Xing Chen sighed heavily. Lin Yan was speechless. "I'll ask again and you'll answer me again. What level are you?" Lin Yan glanced at Xing Chen seriously. "Miss Lin, I see. I know that you like to play games, so I instinctively assumed that you were asking about the game." Xing Chen explained. "Cut the crap. What level are you at?" asked Lin Yan. "I'm not sure. I haven't tested it before, but it should be fine," replied Xing Chen. Lin Yan was speechless. She had thought that Pei Yucheng would be perfunctory enough, but Xing Chen was 100 times more perfunctory than him. How could an evolved being not know what level he was at? Of course, she was an exception. "Let's spar then." Lin Yan grinned. Xing Chen looked conflicted. "Miss Lin, don't make things difficult for me. I wouldn't dare. If Brother Yu finds out, I'll be dead." "How would he know if you and I don't tell him?" Lin Yan frowned. "Well, I wouldn't dare to." "What if I hurt you?" Xing Chen hesitated. "Then, did you evolve physically or spiritually?" asked Lin Yan. "Physically," Xing Chen replied. Lin Yan sighed in disappointment. She had thought that Xing Chen would be a spiritual evolved being. She hadn't expected that he would be a physical evolved being like her. "Miss Lin, that's not called physical evolution. It's called genetic evolution. Spiritual evolution is called brain evolution. Genetic evolution strengthens the body, while brain evolution strengthens the spiritual ability and special evolution abilities," Xing Chen explained. "The meaning is similar," replied Lin Yan. Pei Yucheng's explanation was easier to understand. It's more or less the same. I think this is more orthodox," Xing Chen said. Xing Chen added, "Miss Lin, if you want to know what level you are, you can use a professional instrument to test it. However, we don't have such an instrument here, so there is another way." "What is it?" asked Lin Yan curiously. "Hit me a few times and I'll test it out," Xing Chen said with a smile. "Are you serious?" Lin Yan glanced at Xing Chen in shock. "Yes, it's fine." Xing Chen nodded. Lin Yan replied, "Xing Chen, I'm afraid that I'll kill you." Xing Chen replied, "Miss Lin, don't worry. It's fine." The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. "Are you looking down on my fist? Let me tell you, I can smash your teeth with one punch. Let's see how you will eat lollipops in the future." End of this chapter. Chapter 906. Miss Lin, I don't mean to look down on you. I just think that you won't be able to hurt me, Xing Chen said seriously. Lin Yan was speechless. Wasn't he looking down on her? She felt offended. Then I'll hit you? Asked Lin Yan. Miss Lin, you don't have to show mercy, said Xing Chen. Lin Yan stared at Xing Chen in silence for a moment before she punched him. Lin Yan hadn't used her full strength. Although Xing Chen had said that she wouldn't hurt him, Lin Yan was still worried. What if he died? To Lin Yan's surprise, Xing Chen didn't move an inch. There wasn't a hint of pain on his face. How do you feel? Asked Lin Yan. I don't feel anything, Xing Chen replied honestly. Lin Yan was speechless. Then I'll use all my strength this time. I showed mercy just now, replied Lin Yan. All right, you don't have to show mercy. Xing Chen grinned. Bang! Lin Yan punched Xing Chen's abdomen. Even Lin Yan felt her fist go numb from the force of the punch. How do you feel? Asked Lin Yan. Big sister Lin, your punch hurt a little, Xing Chen said. A little? Lin Yan was dumbfounded. An ordinary person would have been killed by her. How could he say that it hurt a little? Yeah, it's not a big problem. Sister Yan, you should be a Class F evolved being. You might break through to Class E, Xing Chen analyzed. Lin Yan sighed. Indeed, she hadn't left the newbie village yet. Although she was very powerful compared to ordinary people, she was considered trash compared to other evolved beings. Miss Lin, do you want to continue? Asked Xing Chen. Continue my ass. My hand hurts, replied Lin Yan. She was asking to be humiliated. Miss Lin, when I was still a Class F, I wasn't as good as you. Your potential is greater, and your body is much purer than mine. You will surpass me sooner or later. Xing Chen grinned. After leaving the study with Xing Chen, the two of them walked to the hall. When she reached the living room, she realized that there was a young man sitting next to Pei Yucheng. You're here. Pei Yucheng spoke softly when he saw Lin Yan. Brother Yucheng, who is this? Tang Rong glanced at Lin Yan, looking puzzled. My girlfriend, Pei Yucheng replied. The smile on Tang Rong's face froze when she heard him. Oh, so Brother Yucheng already has a girlfriend. I didn't know. Congratulations. Tang Rong calmed herself down and smiled. Lin Yan walked over to Pei Yucheng and sat quietly beside him. This is my eldest uncle's son, my cousin, Pei Zhe. Pei Yucheng introduced the man. Hello. Pei Zhe smiled politely at Lin Yan. However, Pei Zhe's pupils constricted when he saw Lin Yan's face. Impossible. Pei Zhe's eyes were filled with shock. This woman. Why would she appear here? Why would she appear as Pei Yucheng's girlfriend? The terrifying demoness had become Pei Yucheng's girlfriend? Hadn't she promised him that she would help him destroy all the people who threatened him in the Pei family and help him inherit everything in the Pei family? No, to be exact, the demoness had either disappeared or died a long time ago. How could a dead person appear alive? Are you really Brother Yucheng's girlfriend? Pei Zhe asked tentatively. Lin Yan was startled when she heard that. Pei Yucheng's cousin was so polite. They should be of the same generation. How could he address her as sir? Thank you, cute babies, for your birthday wishes. I've seen your comments, your videos, and your avatars that you purposely changed. I love you guys so much. After writing for so many years, my greatest happiness is that you guys are always by my side. I also hope that my adorable girls will always be happy and blissful. You guys are the sweetest and the warmest. End of this chapter. Chapter 907. Lin Yan studied Pei Zhe thoughtfully. She had a nagging feeling that Pei Zhe was looking at her strangely. She could even see a hint of disbelief and bewilderment in his eyes. However, on the surface, Pei Zhe appeared calm. Was it a slip of the tongue? Before Lin Yan could speak, Tang Rong chuckled softly. It's only been a few days since we last met, but Brother Yucheng already has a girlfriend. No wonder we haven't been contacting each other as often as before. Not as often as before. Lin Yan muttered softly. Did that mean that they had been contacting each other frequently? It was as though the surrounding air had turned colder. There was a brief silence for 2 seconds. Miss Lin, Brother Yu is on official business. He didn't contact you because of personal matters. Xing Chen whispered softly. Lin Yan remained expressionless as she studied Tang Rong discreetly. She suspected that this woman might be the pervert who had possessed her. Oh yeah, Brother Yucheng. Why didn't you tell me that you have a girlfriend? Even Pei Zhe didn't know about it. Didn't you tell the Pei family? Tang Rong sat at the dining table and rested her chin on her hands as she grinned at Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan was furious when she heard this, but she couldn't flare up. She had underestimated this pervert. His lines were not simple. Every sentence seemed to be ordinary, as if he was talking about family trivia, but there was a hidden meaning behind each of his words. Didn't Tang Rong mean that Pei Yucheng had a girlfriend and hadn't told anyone about it? Did she mean that he had a mistress? Pei Yucheng was about to speak when Lin Yan smiled and said, Yucheng and I have been very busy and didn't have much time. We happened to be free recently, but it's a coincidence that you guys are here today. Hence, I accompanied Yucheng to get to know everyone. Tang Rong's smile deepened when she heard Lin Yan. Pei Yucheng was a little surprised as well. He silently recalled the girl's words. Cold sweat broke out on Xing Chen's forehead. This was really a battle between experts. Tang Rong had just said that Pei Yucheng hadn't mentioned his girlfriend to anyone, but Lin Yan had immediately attacked her. Hadn't he mentioned it today? He had even brought his girlfriend to eat with his cousin. Xing Chen couldn't help but sigh. This was truly a war without smoke. Miss Lin, nice to meet you. My name is Tang Rong. I grew up with Brother Yucheng. Sorry, it's not appropriate for me to say this in front of you. After all, you are Brother Yucheng's friend. Tang Rong extended her hand to Lin Yan. Lin Yan smiled and shook Tang Rong's hand. She replied casually, it's common to have childhood sweethearts, but it's a pity that it's rare for them to be together. Tang Rong's smile did not diminish. Well, what Miss Lin said makes sense. Miss Lin, since you're Brother Yucheng's girlfriend, you're my friend. If you need anything, you can tell me at any time. Tang Rong gazed at Lin Yan and chuckled softly. Xing Chen, who was standing beside Lin Yan, kept stealing glances at her from the corner of his eyes. He had to endure it. Even Xing Chen couldn't help but admire Tang Rong's eloquence and the meaning behind her words. In an instant, it seemed as though Lin Yan had become the guest. Lin Yan gritted her teeth and glared at Pei Yucheng. Then, she smiled at Tang Rong and said, Miss Tang, don't say that. Miss Tang and Yucheng have known each other since they were young. You're like Yucheng's sister and my sister. How could I let my sister take care of my sister? Miss Tang, on the other hand, if you need anything, you can tell me. The servants in this villa are very insensible, so outsiders might not be able to order them around. Chapter 908. The smile on Tang Rong's face remained the same. She said slowly, Miss Lin, what you said makes sense. However, a servant will always be a servant. If she doesn't do a good job, she can be replaced at any time. Miss Lin, what do you think? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. Was she referring to herself? Pei Yucheng could change girlfriends at any time, and Cloud Manor could change its mistress at any time. Lin Yan composed herself and grinned. That might not be true. I have 2 cats and dogs. They bit my servants. Guess what happened, Miss Tang? Tang Rong nodded. I'd like to hear the details. I haven't fed them for 2 days, so they are obedient now. They don't dare bite anyone anymore. Lin Yan grinned. Tang Rong's eyes glinted coldly when she heard Lin Yan. Xing Chen wanted to laugh, but he didn't dare. What Lin Yan meant was that Tang Rong was that cat and dog. She shouldn't bite anyone, or she would be punished. That was too cruel. Miss Lin is right, Tang Rong said after some time. Brother Yucheng, these dishes are delicious. They are all my favorites. Did you specially prepare them for me? Tang Rong gazed at Pei Yucheng tenderly as she spoke softly. Before Pei Yucheng could reply, Lin Yan grinned. So these are all Miss Tang's favorites. What a coincidence. Miss Tang's tastes are the same as mine. Awesome. Xing Chen was in awe of Lin Yan. Even a fool could understand Lin Yan's words. Pei Yucheng prepared these for me. As for you, it was just a coincidence. I see. I can tell that Brother Yucheng is very attentive. I've been with him for so many years, but I've rarely seen him so attentive. Tang Rong nodded and grinned. Yeah, just like some of my friends. I've known them for so many years, but they don't even know what I like. However, it's understandable. After all, they are just passers-by in my life. Lin Yan grinned. Xing Chen's face turned red. Lin Yan was implying that even though she had been with Pei Yucheng for so many years, she was just an insignificant passerby. How could she be compared to her? Tang Rong gazed at Lin Yan intently. Lin Yan grinned at Tang Rong as well. Their eyes met like meteorites colliding before they parted. Xing Chen knew that Lin Yan had won this round. He had always thought that Lin Yan was straightforward and brainless. Today, he realized that he had been wrong. Who said that straightforward people were brainless? After all, they were women. In a war between women, they could lose their lives without seeing blood. It was too terrifying. Right now, star-sinking gazed at Lin Yan. She had the aura of the East Palace Master, as though everyone beneath her was an ant. Tang Rong stared at Lin Yan for a few seconds before she smiled and took a sip of her tea. Tang Rong turned to Pei Yucheng and said casually, Brother Yucheng, I've been worried about you all these years. Back then, you were the most famous genius of the Pei family, but you were exiled here because of a girl. Fortunately, you have a new girlfriend. You should have completely let it go. Lin Yan's expression changed slightly when she heard Tang Rong. There was too much information in her words. Pei Yucheng had once been the most important descendant of the Pei family, yet he had been exiled here because of a girl? What girl? Ex-girlfriend? Chapter 909. At the same time, Pei Yutong and Pei Nanshu, who had been about to enter, stopped at the entrance and watched the entire battle between Lin Yan and Tang Rong. Miss Tang Rong wasn't a simple character. They were worried that Lin Yan would be bullied and suffer, so they had come to support her. They hadn't expected Lin Yan to be so powerful. They hadn't had a chance to attack at all. Lin Yan, who had wanted to break up with Big Brother, didn't seem to care about Big Brother at all. The two of them were so frightened by the terrifying atmosphere that they didn't dare make a sound. Their expressions changed when they heard Tang Rong's words. Pei Yutong was so shocked that he dropped his car keys with a loud thud. Lin Yan sized Pei Yucheng up quietly, feeling puzzled. However, Lin Yan remained expressionless on the surface, so no one could tell what was on her mind. Pei Yutong and Pei Nanshu looked at each other in astonishment when they heard Tang Rong. If Tang Rong hadn't said it today, they wouldn't have known about this. Big Brother had an ex-girlfriend? Although they were part of the Pei family, they hadn't been with Big Brother Yucheng since they were young. When they were very young, Pei Nanshu and Pei Yucheng had been sent away from the Pei family and sent to Cloud Manor. It was only when they grew up that they met Big Brother Yucheng. At that time, Pei Yucheng had also come to Cloud Manor. They had asked many questions about the Pei family, but Pei Yucheng had never told them anything. It was only when they grew up that Pei Yucheng and Pei Nanshu learned a little about the Pei family. He only knew that the Pei family was a powerful family, and they had extremely high requirements for their descendants. They were also very strict. The two of them had been sent away from the Pei family's headquarters because they weren't outstanding enough. Pei Nanshu and Pei Yutong didn't quite understand. They had been sent away when they were young. Could the Pei family have known if they were outstanding enough when they were born? A few years ago, the two of them had gone to the Pei family's headquarters and seen some people they shouldn't have seen. Then, they had learned about the existence of evolved beings. Hence, the two of them suspected that the Pei family was related to evolved beings. If the Pei family was an evolver family, and the two of them were just ordinary people, unable to become evolvers, it was only natural that they were sent away. Besides, after spending so many years with Pei Yucheng, how could he not understand how extraordinary he was? Pei Yucheng was definitely not an ordinary person. He was most likely an evolved being. Although they knew this, they had never mentioned it. Naturally, Pei Yucheng didn't hide anything from them. If they didn't ask, Pei Yucheng wouldn't say anything. That was all. Brother Yucheng was the most outstanding evolved being of the Pei family. He was also the designated heir of the Pei family. Brother Yucheng even studied in an extremely mysterious sacred ground. No one in the Pei family has such honor. If it weren't for that girl, Brother Yucheng wouldn't have ended up like this, Tang Rong added. On the other hand, Pei Yucheng's expression didn't change at all. Pei Nanxiu and Pei Yucheng looked as though they had expected this. They weren't too surprised. They had long guessed that the Pei family had something to do with evolvers, and now they had just received further confirmation. Cousin Yucheng, no one in the Pei family could compare to him. Pei Zhe smiled and said, however, because of that girl, he had a mental breakdown and even went against the Pei family's wishes several times. He left home alone to search for that girl. After a long time, he was completely abandoned. The elders of the Pei family were furious, so my cousin was exiled to this place. Chapter 9-10. Pei Zhe's voice piqued Lin Yan's curiosity. Who was the girl that Pei Zhe and Miss Rong were talking about? What kind of place was that mysterious sacred ground? Where had Pei Yucheng studied before? Could there be schools for evolved beings? Soon, Lin Yan composed herself. No matter who that girl was or whether she was Pei Yucheng's ex-girlfriend, White Moonlight, she couldn't lose her composure now. Otherwise, she would fall into Miss Rong's trap. Besides, there didn't seem to be anything to lose her composure. After all, it was a matter of the past. Although she understood the logic, for some reason, Lin Yan felt a little uncomfortable. Pei Yucheng had gone against the Pei family's wishes for that girl and caused himself to be exiled. Pei Zhe had also said that it was because of that girl that Pei Yucheng had abandoned himself. Lin Yan guessed that the so-called abandonment here was probably due to his slacking on the abilities of evolved beings. Pei Yucheng and Pei Nanxiu exchanged a glance. They had never heard of Pei Yucheng's past. This was the first time they had heard about it. What kind of girl could make Big Brother like this? The two brothers didn't dare imagine it. Just now, Miss Lin said that childhood sweethearts are common, but it's rare to see them together. However, Brother Yucheng and that girl are true childhood sweethearts. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. I think Brother Yucheng has given all his love to that girl. Of course, these are the purest and most simple feelings from childhood. Miss Lin, I don't think you'll mind. Tang Rong glanced at Lin Yan and smiled. Lin Yan naturally knew what Tang Rong was up to. Seeing that she couldn't provoke her, she wanted to use that as an excuse to attack her. Lin Yan smiled faintly. In one's life, one will always meet two people. One stuns time, and the other is gentle. Just as Lin Yan was about to say something, Pei Yucheng suddenly turned to Lin Yan. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. You're the one who stuns time and the gentle years. Everyone was stunned by Pei Yucheng's words, including Lin Yan. Pei Nanxiu and Pei Yutong exchanged a look. They hadn't expected their big brother to be so good at coaxing people. However, he was afraid that it would not be so easy to coax him this time. Previously, they had sworn to Lin Yan that big brother had never had another woman by his side. In the end, one of them was his childhood sweetheart, while the other was his childhood friend. The matter of the affair had not been resolved, and out of nowhere, his childhood sweetheart, Miss Rong, had appeared. Miss Rong was still in dire straits, and now there was an innocent white moonlight. Tang Rong, who hadn't expected this response from Pei Yucheng, was startled. She glared at Lin Yan coldly. However, on the surface, he still smiled and said, I'm young and inexperienced, so I can't take it seriously. Miss Lin is really lucky. She had initially planned to use that person to suppress this arrogant woman. After all, everyone knew how important that person was to Pei Yucheng. However, she had been wrong about his attitude. Cousin, I'm here to eat, not to eat dog food. Pei Zhe grinned at Pei Yucheng. Since I'm full, I'll leave first. All right, Pei Yucheng replied. End of chapter. Chapter 9-11. Brother Yucheng, I'll head back first. Thank you for your hospitality today. Tang Rong didn't linger. She had already said what she needed to say. Even though Pei Yucheng's attitude had been impeccable, she didn't believe that Lin Yan wouldn't mind at all. A man like Pei Yucheng hated jealous women the most. After Pei Zhe and Tang Rong left, Pei Yutong was the first to slip away. Brother, sister-in-law, I won't disturb the two of you anymore. I'm leaving too. After saying that, he picked up a drumstick on the table and ran away. Pei Nanxiu and Xing Chen had witnessed Lin Yan's calm before the storm, so they didn't dare linger any longer. After bidding farewell, they left as well. After everyone left, only Lin Yan and Pei Yucheng were left in the room. Pei Yucheng stroked the girl's hair. Is the food not to your liking? You didn't eat much just now. Shall I cook for you? Lin Yan was still sulking and couldn't reply immediately. When she snapped back to her senses, Pei Yucheng had already put on his apron and gone to the kitchen to cook. Lin Yan was even angrier when she saw Pei Yucheng enter the kitchen. She almost spat out a mouthful of blood. How could he torture his girlfriend like this? Pei Yucheng quickly prepared 3 dishes and a soup. The two of them sat down at the dining table. Lin Yan had been silent all this while. At that moment, she took a deep breath and the anger that she had suppressed finally burst out. She stared at Pei Yucheng and enunciated each word clearly. Childhood sweetheart, indeed, she couldn't avoid it. Pei Yucheng's hand paused as he helped Lin Yan. He coughed softly and explained, we just knew each other since we were young. Lin Yan snorted coldly. Childhood sweetheart? Pei Yucheng paused for a second before he gazed at the girl gently. There's no childhood sweetheart or childhood sweetheart. There's only you. Actually, Lin Yan knew very well that even if Pei Yucheng had a childhood sweetheart and childhood sweetheart, she had no right to ask. After all, that was in the past. However, where was that close confidant? Are you sure it's just an acquaintance and not a close relationship? Regardless of whether she had the right to ask, Lin Yan didn't beat around the bush. If we weren't close, how could she know your password and enter Cloud Manor freely? She could even imitate your signature to the extent that even JM Corporation couldn't verify it. Autograph? At first, Pei Yucheng had only had some doubts, but now, he was certain. Due to the urgency of the situation, he hadn't had the time to think too much and had used Lin Yan's body. He had assumed that Lin Yan was in a deep slumber, but it seemed like that wasn't the case. Lin Yan must have found out about what he had done that day. However, she hadn't suspected him. Instead, she had come up with a strange theory. What did she think? She thought that there was a woman beside him who had an unusual relationship with him, and that it was that woman who had taken control of her body. And he had deliberately hidden the existence of such a confidant from her? Pei Yucheng was speechless. If he didn't tell her the truth, she would continue to misunderstand. However, if he told her the truth, for the first time in his life, he was caught in a dilemma. Chapter 9-12. Pei Yucheng pinched his eyebrows. Miss Lin, other than you and me, I won't allow anyone to enter Cloud Manor or my study. No one can imitate my handwriting. Besides, given JM Corporation's professionalism, it's impossible that they can't verify the authenticity of my handwriting. Hence, the woman you're talking about doesn't exist. Pei Yuqing's words were equivalent to giving Lin Yan the answer. However, the problem was that Lin Yan couldn't possibly suspect him. Who would have thought that Pei Yuqing would be so cunning? Lin Yan didn't know how to explain herself, but she was certain that she had seen it with her own eyes. There was no mistake. She was certain that if Pei Yuqing denied it, he would be lying. Pei Yuqing's last sentence made sense. It was something that had puzzled her before. It was impossible that JM Corporation couldn't verify the authenticity of his handwriting. However, the problem was that she had confirmed it repeatedly. She had even called Sheng Yimou to verify it. What was impossible to happen had happened. If Pei Yuqing wasn't up to something, why would he lie to her? Lin Yan pondered this for a long time before she asked, then, have you ever taught your childhood sweetheart or your childhood sweetheart how to cook? Pei Yuqing asked, cook? Lin Yan nodded solemnly. Yeah. I know a woman who has inherited your cooking skills. Her taste is exactly the same as yours. Didn't you teach her? Pei Yuqing's recipes were absolutely unique. If he hadn't taught her personally, how could anyone else in this world cook like him? Pei Yuqing, who hadn't expected Lin Yan to notice this, replied, I haven't taught anyone how to cook. Of course, if you want to learn, I can teach you. Lin Yan almost coughed out a mouthful of blood when she heard him. She hurriedly reached out to stop him. You don't have to. Was she crazy? Why would she want to learn cooking from Pei Yuqing? Lin Yan calmed herself down before she added, Mr. Pei, I'm going to say this again. Perhaps you should think carefully about who the woman you like is. Otherwise, you might be in love with the wrong person. How could Pei Yuqing possibly like her? Had he seen the shadow of another woman through her? After all, the few times she had interacted with him had been when she had been possessed by that pervert. Pei Yuqing was speechless. The man's eyes were like stars in the deep sea, quietly watching her. After a long while, the man finally said, Miss Lin, can I also ask a question? Lin Yan replied sternly, ask away. Pei Yuqing's eyes glinted. I remember that Miss Lin told me that you have a close friend. The reason she's with her boyfriend isn't because she likes him. She's just putting on an act for some special reason. At that time, your best friend was very conflicted about whether or not to tell her boyfriend about it, right? Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat. She had indeed told Pei Yuqing about this, but that her best friend she had been referring to was herself. Of course, she wouldn't dare say the truth to provoke Pei Yuqing. Hence, she wanted to use the excuse of being his best friend to find out more about him. She still remembered Pei Yuqing's reply. End of chapter. Chapter 9:13. He had said, the difference between acting and never seeing each other again is that the former will last longer. He had also said, if you lie to me, you will lie to me forever. She remembered very clearly that Pei Yuqing had answered her question in the first person. This meant that Pei Yuqing had most likely discovered that she wasn't talking about her best friend. She was talking about herself. Why had Pei Yuqing suddenly brought this up again? Lin Yan glanced at the man who was waiting for her reply and nodded. I did. What's wrong? Pei Yuqing pretended to be nonchalant as he picked up some food for Lin Yan. Miss Lin, you should remember that I told you that it was just an act. There's another possibility, which is to turn it into reality. Pei Yuqing paused for a moment. Under Lin Yan's suspicious gaze, he said calmly, Miss Lin, may I ask if your best friend has turned the act into reality? Otherwise, why would she care about the women around me? Why would she get angry over this time and time again? The moment Pei Yuqing finished speaking, Lin Yan's mind exploded like fireworks. Pei Yuqing most likely knew that she was referring to herself. Hence, he was basically asking, what are you talking about? Did you turn the act into reality? Lin Yan, have you fallen in love with me? All this while, Lin Yan had automatically ignored this question. She had only been caught off guard when Pei Yuqing had asked her this question. Why? Why was she so angry? Why was she angry because of the women around Pei Yuqing? At that moment, Pei Yuqing's expression was as calm and composed as ever. However, his tense back and the way he gripped the bowl and chopsticks revealed his thoughts. He waited quietly for the girl's answer. It had only been a few seconds, but it felt as though several long nights had passed. The ear-piercing sound of a chair scraping against the floor was heard. Lin Yan bolted to her feet and replied resolutely, My best friend said that her acting skills have improved. After saying that, he slipped into his room like a wisp of smoke. Pei Yuqing was speechless, the man's eyes narrowed, and a dangerous glint flashed across his glasses. It seemed like this girl would never tell the truth in front of him. Lin Yan scrambled into the house as though she had been chased by a ghost. She patted her chest in fear. Oh my God. She was scared to death. This man was too scary. His interrogation methods were simply heaven-defying. In the beginning, she was clearly the one asking him questions. In the end, the situation inexplicably reversed, and she became the one being interrogated? Was there any justice in this world? Fortunately, she reacted quickly and ran away quickly. Lin Yan, who was worried, scurried to the door and locked it carefully. That would be safe, turning the act into reality. What a joke. How could this be? Was she a person without principles? Lin Yan locked the door and turned to enter the house. Unexpectedly, the moment she turned around, a familiar feeling assaulted her. Her vision went black, and in the next second, it was as if her soul was pulled out of her body, and she lost control of it. Lin Yan instantly realized what was going on. Shit! This fox spirit actually dared to appear. Chapter 9:14. Vixen. Pei Yuqing's consciousness had just woken up from Lin Yan's body when he heard the girl's indignant voice. The culprit had finally appeared. Lin Yan was furious. Who the hell are you? What's your relationship with Pei Yuqing? What do you want to do to him? Pei Yuqing strode over to the desk and sat down. Miss Lin, you don't have the right to question me. His tone infuriated Lin Yan even more. I don't have the right to question you. Not only did you occupy my body, but you also have ulterior motives toward my man. I don't have the right to question you. Pei Yuqing picked up an 8 trigrams mirror and replied calmly, if I remember correctly, I was the one who wooed this man. It has nothing to do with you. Lin Yan yelled, You. This time, Lin Yan was completely enraged. If she had been in her own body, she would have flipped the table in anger. However, she couldn't refute this fellow's words. Pei Yuqing put down the 8 trigrams mirror and glanced at the girl in the mirror. He seemed to be looking at her through her eyes. Miss Lin, I hope that you will watch your words. He isn't yours. Even if I want to do anything to him, it has nothing to do with you. Lin Yan was speechless. Pei Yuqing lowered his eyes and chuckled softly. Besides, Miss Lin, you have been putting on an act all this while, haven't you? The man's nonchalant, provocative tone had finally infuriated Lin Yan. Lin Yan's consciousness exploded in her mind. Are you just fooling around? Big sister, haven't you heard of the 4 words fake, real, and acting? In the mirror, the girl's expression seemed to go blank for a moment. She was stunned, as though she hadn't expected the girl's answer at all. At that moment, Pei Yuqing couldn't think straight. He even suspected that he had heard wrongly. Acting for real, he hadn't expected that Lin Yan would give him the answer that he had racked his brains for, but he hadn't been able to get it out of her. Lin Yan pressed on. He isn't mine. It has nothing to do with me. Stop joking around. You used my body to woo someone. If he wasn't my man, could he be yours? If you weren't the one who chased after him, then who else could you have chased after? How do you know that he isn't interested in my beauty and talent? Pei Yuqing might even be my crazy admirer and die-hard fan. Perhaps you chose to use my body to get close to him because you knew about this. Now, you even dare to shamelessly declare your sovereignty in front of me. I should be the one asking you, what qualifications do you have? A vixen who doesn't even dare to show her face and uses my body to chase someone. Pei Yuqing was speechless. He couldn't be blamed for being surprised. Lin Yan would never say something like that in front of him. It was impossible for him to be so honest. Pei Yuqing coughed softly. What did you say? Turning the act into reality. Pei Yuqing asked, as though he wanted to confirm it. Lin Yan hissed fiercely, that's right. I turned the act into reality. Can't I? Pei Yuqing suppressed his restless emotions and replied calmly, I didn't expect Miss Lin to be a third party. Chapter 9:15. I'm a third party. Lin Yan was fuming with rage. Are you kidding me? What do you mean I'm a third party? You're not related to Pei Yuqing. Although Lin Yan said that, this was indeed the thing that bothered her the most. She hadn't taken the initiative to get close to Pei Yuqing. It had been this vixen. She was also worried that, the person Pei Yuqing really liked, was actually this vixen. Lin Yan gritted her teeth and sneered coldly. Even if you're the one who wooed this man, so what? Is that impressive? If I were to do it myself, I would be able to woo him in 10 seconds. Pei Yuqing replied, oh? If you were to do it yourself. Lin Yan's blood boiled when she heard his provocative tone. You don't believe me, right? Let's make a bet then. If I do it, you're not allowed to control my body anymore. Pei Yuqing concealed the gentleness in his voice and said coldly, what if you lose? Lin Yan snorted. Lose? The word lose doesn't exist in my dictionary. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. Miss Lin, perhaps your dictionary is pirated? Lin Yan yelled, you. Ah. Why was this vixen so annoying? Damn it. She had to woo Pei Yuqing personally. The overwhelming anger bombarded Lin Yan. There was a buzzing sound, and an electric current seemed to flash. A second later, her vision turned black. When she opened her eyes again, she was back in her own body. She was back. It was probably because he was too angry. This time, he actually relied on his own willpower to forcibly regain control of his body. The moment she returned to her body, Lin Yan propped herself up with both hands on the desk. Then, she slammed the door and stormed out. Her eyes darted to the living room before she strode in Pei Yuqing's direction. Meanwhile, Pei Yuqing's consciousness had just been squeezed out by Lin Yan and he had just woken up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the girl rushing towards him like a little fireball. Lin Yan strode over to Pei Yuqing. Just as he was about to straighten up, she grabbed his collar and pressed him back down. She propped one hand on the back of the couch and hissed, Pei Yuqing. Let's break up. Pei Yuqing's pupils constricted. Before his eyes could turn cold, he was cut off in shock. Because in the next second, he heard the girl continue to say, break up. I want to catch up again. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Lin Yan, who seemed unhappy with the man's absent-mindedness, snapped, did you hear me? 2 of the buttons on the man's collar had been torn off by her. At this moment it was loose, revealing his exquisite collarbone and a small part of his chest. His clothes were also wrinkled, and his entire body was pressed against the back of the sofa by her. At a glance, he simply looked like a seductive demon. Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl and raised his wrist slightly. His eyes landed on the watch on his wrist. Lin Yan was displeased when she saw that Pei Yuqing was staring at his watch. What are you looking at? Pei Yuqing remained silent as he continued to stare at the second hand on his watch. 10, 9, 7, 6. Chapter 9:16. Pei Yuqing waited until the second hand had ticked 10 times before he raised his head and gazed at the girl. 10 seconds. All right, You've caught up with her now. Lin Yen was speechless. What? What was going on? 10 seconds, how had Pei Yuqing known? Lin Yen asked, you, caught up with her? He had caught up with her just like that? Pei Yuqing was still in the position where the girl had pressed her knees against the sofa. He merely shifted slightly and changed into a more comfortable position. Then, to prevent the girl from losing her balance, he stretched out a hand to support her waist. The man replied in a low, hoarse voice, yeah, I'm Miss Lin's crazy admirer and diehard fan. I'm infatuated with your beauty and talent. Lin Yen was speechless. At that moment, Lin Yan's brain had stopped working. How? How did you know? She had communicated these words to the vixen in her head, so no one else could know about them. How could Pei Yuqing know every single word she had said? Lin Yan's brain couldn't process what was happening. However, at this moment, the man in front of her continued to speak with that mesmerizing face. So, Miss Lin, did you really turn the act into reality? Lin Yen was speechless. Lin Yan's brain had crashed. She struggled to come up with a possibility that she couldn't believe. Pei Yuqing. You, Pei Yuqing had said that the woman couldn't possibly exist. No one could enter Pei Yuqing's personal space at will, and no one could know the password to Pei Yuqing's equipment. It was impossible for anyone to imitate Pei Yuqing's signature. Such a woman couldn't exist in this world. Then, unless, this person was Pei Yuqing himself. After living for more than 20 years, this was the first time Lin Yen felt as though her worldview had been destroyed. Lin Yen couldn't even look at Pei Yuqing's face. After some time, she finally regained her ability to speak. Don't tell me, that pervert, that vixen, that consciousness that possessed my body, was you. Pei Yuqing coughed softly as his fingers caressed the girl's waist. After 3 seconds of silence, he said, it was me. Lin Yen was speechless. 3, shake, shatter, no, more, like, this. That lecher. She wasn't a woman who admired or had an intimate relationship with Pei Yuqing. It was Pei Yuqing himself. This answer seemed so shocking that it was unimaginable, but it was also very reasonable. All the strange and unreasonable things that had happened during this period of time had a reasonable explanation. So, it was all her fault for not having enough imagination. She had never thought that the truth would be like this. Mr. Pei. Are you joking? Lin Yen couldn't believe it. In order to avoid any further misunderstandings, he had no choice but to tell her the truth. The consciousness attached to your body is indeed me. Lin Yen stared at the man before her, at a loss for words. After some time, Lin Yen said in a daze, So when we were at the hospital, you were the one who took advantage of yourself and claimed that you were paying my rent? Chapter 9:17. Pei Yuqing nodded. Yes. After all, I did occupy your body. Lin Yen swallowed her saliva and pressed on. So, you were the one who accidentally fell on you when you barged into Cloud Manor? Pei Yuqing coughed softly. Yeah. I wanted to see you, but you didn't look for me. Lin Yen quipped, were you the one who sent the message to yourself? Pei Yuqing stroked Lin Yan's waist. We've been dating for so long, but you've never asked to go on a date with me. Lin Yen was speechless. So this was her fault? Lin Yen inhaled deeply and glared at him. You used my card to buy a birthday present for yourself and used my body to cook for you. Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl. You forgot about my birthday. Because you forgot my birthday, so I can only use this method to celebrate my own birthday. Lin Yan's eyes met the man's shimmering eyes, which were filled with disappointment. She couldn't help but feel guilty, damn it. She was the one who had questioned him. How had it become his accusation? Pei Yuqing was telling the truth, but what kind of trick was this? How could he flirt with a girl like this? She was stunned by Pei Yuqing's actions. Lin Yen gritted her teeth. That's why. Just now in the room, you possessed me. From the beginning to the end, you were deliberately provoking me and provoking me. Yes. Pei Yuqing admitted it without hesitation. If that wasn't the case, would you have told me the truth? Lin Yan was speechless. Damn it. Pei Yuqing's tricks had been the longest path she had taken in her life. Although she was infuriated by Pei Yuqing's actions, her anger was extinguished by the disappointment in Pei Yuqing's eyes. Lin Yan massaged her temples to calm herself down. When did it start? Pei Yuqing didn't dare hide anything. Actually, I can't remember it clearly. When I could stay conscious in your body, it was probably after you broke up with Han Yishuan, heir. Lin Yan could sense that his tone had turned cold when he mentioned Han Yishuan's name. His grip on her waist tightened as well. Lin Yan seemed to have recalled something as she asked, "Were you the one who invited Mr. Pei to Lin Shuya's birthday party?" Although Pei Yuqing and Pei Nanxiu had explained the reason to her, everything seemed illogical now that she thought about it. "I can't go myself. I can only ask Nanxiu to support you," Pei Yuqing replied. Lin Yan was speechless. It was really him. No wonder. It was no wonder that Pei Nanxiu had been so respectful towards her. I remember once when I was near my grandpa's house, I met a stuttering man who fell into the sea and was being chased. The people who were chasing him accidentally found out that I was an evolver and wanted to capture me. At that time, I couldn't beat those people at all. I suddenly lost consciousness in the middle of the fight. When I woke up, those people had already run away. When I saw them again, they were very afraid of me, as if they had seen a ghost. Later on, I found half a cigarette butt in my pocket. I don't smoke at all, so how could there be a cigarette on me? Did you save me that time? Chapter 9:18. The more Lin Yan spoke, the clearer her memory became. Many things that she hadn't been able to figure out seemed to have been explained. Pei Yuqing nodded. Perhaps it sensed that you were in danger, so it attached itself to you. Lin Yan was speechless. How could that be? Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat as she listened to his confession. That day. You were the one who took me to the hospital for an injection. She was very afraid of injections and did not want to go to the hospital, but the consciousness took her to the hospital. Because it was not her consciousness at that time, she did not feel the fear of the injection at all. No wonder he could always accurately tell where her body was uncomfortable. He knew that her leg hurt, so he took her to the hospital for an injection, knowing that she was on her period. He cooked brown sugar water for her. Maybe because I'm sick, my body has some problems, and my consciousness often goes to find you uncontrollably. It's not my intention. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lied to you. Pei Yuqing didn't dare continue. He wasn't confident that Lin Yan would react if she knew the truth. However, if he hadn't used this method, he wouldn't have had the chance to understand her. He did not dare to approach her again. Lin Yan ran her fingers through her hair in frustration. But why? Why did you do that? Initially, she had assumed that the pervert was flirting with Pei Yuqing. However, the tables had turned. Pei Yuqing was the one flirting with her. Why was Pei Yuqing putting in so much effort? Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. I already answered you. Lin Yan was taken aback. What had he said? He is her crazy admirer and brainless fan, infatuated with her beauty and talent. Isn't this bullsh*t? Lin Yan's face darkened. I was just spouting nonsense, but I'm serious. Pei Yuqing gazed at her solemnly. Lin Yan was speechless, as if I'd believe you. Was Pei Yuqing her crazy admirer or her die-hard fan? Pei Yuqing might be blind, but he wouldn't be able to do that even if he was retarded. She couldn't believe that the consciousness that had possessed her was Pei Yuqing. Lin Yan inhaled deeply. Let's talk about something first. That consciousness was really you. Are you sure? Pei Yuqing nodded. Lin Yan replied, I still can't believe it. This is unbelievable. Pei Yuqing asked patiently, what do you want me to do? Lin Yan raised her head and glared at him. Now. Pei Yuqing was speechless. When Lin Yan realized what she had said, she blushed and scrambled to reply, no. I mean, on my body. I just feel that it's too unbelievable. I can't believe it. Can your consciousness try possessing your body now? Not only was he in disbelief, but he was also curious. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. I can't control that. Isn't this one of your evolved abilities? Lin Yan was puzzled. Pei Yuqing explained, I can indeed control some creatures, but I can't control humans with my consciousness. As for why I can possess your body, I'm not sure. All I know is that every time Pei Yuqing paused. Lin Yan asked, what did you do every time? Pei Yuqing replied, every time I miss you, my consciousness will possess you. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.